least I'm non-compass mentis almost.
Oh my God, you're using that as an excuse for everything now.
Everything, and that'll be for years. I
I
have to get off and figure out what's going on.
Let's see,
All right,
maybe.
I'm gonna mute myself. There I go.
Tammy, oh, I'm going to mute myself too. Tammy, do you know how to connect?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Lisa.
Okay, great. I think they're working.
I have no idea how to get my picture, but that's just well.
Yeah, I don't see myself either, which is a real shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to remind you all that this is currently live, even though the meeting has not started yet.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hi,
Hi.
Hi, Elisa.
Elisa here.
So Leslie, we're just waiting for Jim and Michael.
Yes, and Michael told me he would be late,
Okay,
which he's not on your first agenda item anyway.
okay. And I texted Jim.
Okay, and Lisa, I have you, oh. All right. I have you as a panelist, and I also had you as an attendee, but that seems to be gone. So maybe your video will work now. Oh, we can
Yep,
see.
it's working now. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And then I don't think I'm on the first agenda item either.
And this is my first time running one of these meetings. I haven't managed one before, so I apologize in advance if it doesn't go completely smoothly.
All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we can start, right? Is Jim on the first one?
Which is the first one?
Continue. It's going to be 2121, the continued Michael S. Jemison and Christina Jemison for 195C Hummock Pond Road, Brusher.
I didn't sit on that, I don't think.
Mark, you mullened in for that?
Yeah.
All right, Jim.
Oh, and can I ask you a question? Susan, if I'm recused, do I sign out and then re-sign back in, or do I just mute and?
Leslie, what do you want her to do for that?
I think just mute and turn your screen off is fine for Zoom. And then just to clarify who's voting, it was McCarthy, Allen, Thayer, Mondani, and then Mark Poor signed the Mullen form. So he would be the 5th participant.
I just heard, Jim's just writing back to me now. He needs 5 or 10 minutes. So
Can we do the agenda and the minutes?
yeah, let me just ask him if he has any comments on the minutes.
And you have to read through that whole script, so that'll take up a little time.
Yep. All right. So let's get started with that. So, okay. Good afternoon. So I'm just going to start. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. As such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. This order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment as previously noted. For this meeting, the ZBA is convening by a video conference using the Zoom app. This is posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. All attendees are participating by video conference. Please be aware that other people may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. So, public participation guidelines. Again, we're using Zoom for meetings. This allows the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. Attendees must register to participate. The registration link is unique to this meeting. The registration link can be found in the description of the Nantucket Government TV YouTube live feed for this meeting. People registering to be an attendee must use their names, otherwise they will not be allowed to participate in the discussion. Attendees will join in listening mode, and attendees can click the raise hand button if they wish to speak. I will call on people or attendees who have raised their hands in the order they were raised. YouTube chat is no longer enabled. All questions should be directed through the chair. That's me. As a preliminary matter, my name is Susan McCarthy. I'm the chair of the Nantucket Zoning Board of Appeals, and I'm going to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Hold on one second. Okay. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lisa Botticelli,
Here.
Ed Toole,
Here.
Elisa Allen,
Here.
Mark Poor,
Here.
Jeff Fair,
Here.
and staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Leslie Snell.
Here.
Okay. We will now turn to the first item on the agenda. Before we do that, please permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I'll go down the list of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. And please do not sign off unless you have told everyone, staff and myself, that you need to leave and are signing off, so we do not have a quorum issue. If for some reason your technology has a breakdown and you get kicked off, please text Leslie or myself or send an email right away so we can get you back in on the meeting. For any responses, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through me, taking care to identify yourself for the minutes. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Before we move on to the first agenda, I have one more thing. The only conflict that we have right now that I'm aware of, I believe, Leslie, correct me if I'm wrong, is for Mark Poor has a conflict on file 2421. Does anyone else have any conflicts that they want to disclose now? Just for ease of moving forward?
I think Lisa had a conflict on an application. No?
I don't,
Hi, it's Elisa. Or Elisa, sorry.
no, I do. I do have a conflict on 86 QR 2721.
2721, okay.
I'm not working for them. I'm working for the neighbor. I don't know if that considers a conflict.
I think so.
Okay. If we have enough people, if not, I'm happy to sit.
And the other thing I will disclose when the application comes up, but the one that's 33 Goldfinch Drive, I live in that neighborhood, although I am not on the abutters list. So we can address that when we get there. I don't think it's a conflict, but if somebody feels like it is, I'm happy to sit out. Elisa?
Hi, it's Elisa. I got a call from Linda Williams yesterday asking me if I had any conflict with the 86 or 89 Quidnet application. I don't, and they're her clients, and I sold my house to them maybe 8 or 9 years ago, but I just sold them my house and I have no conflict. So Linda seemed to be okay with that.
Okay.
Just going on the record.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful. Okay, so now we can call the meeting to order. Would someone make a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Okay, so Lisa's made the motion and Jeff, do you want to second it?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Second.
so I will go down the list for our roll call vote. So when I say your name, either say aye or nay. So Susan, aye. Lisa,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and Elisa.
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have approval of the minutes. We're only looking at September now.
Susan, excuse me. I
Yep.
just realized I don't remember getting the mail, but I am listed on the Twin Street application as an abutter.
Okay, I think that one was withdrawn, so I think you're okay on that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Madam
Further
Chair,
away.
Yes.
it's the August and the September.
Okay,
minutes.
that's what I thought. Okay, so I looked at both the August and September minutes as amended that Leslie sent out yesterday. And I did not have any issues with either one. I don't think I need to go down the list on this, but did anyone have an issue? Leslie?
I just want to point out that Ed Tool did send me some corrections that I had completely overlooked. So I will make those. It was just some typographical.
And yeah, those were more typos, not substantive. Thank you, Ed. So do we want to, hello, Michael. Do we want to, so does anyone have any comments or corrections on other than the typos that Ed noticed on the minutes? No, seeing that there's none, would someone make a motion to approve both the August and September 2021 minutes as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Ed makes the motion. Would someone second that, please?
Second.
Okay, so I'm going to go down the list again. When I call your name, please say aye or nay. Ed Toole,
Aye.
Jeff Thayer,
Aye.
Michael O'Mara,
Aye.
Lisa Botticelli,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Okay, that carries. Okay, so now we can move on to old business. Leslie, do we need to address anything with 0621, 1821, and 1921 that are continued?
No.
Okay, so we
those are
can,
all continue to the 18th.
okay, so I think, did Jim sign in yet?
Same.
I don't see him. Because Jim is on this first application, right?
He is.
Oh, Jim is saying he can't get in as a panelist.
I'm promoting him right now.
Okay, perfect.
Trying. There we go.
Hold on one second.
Hello, sorry.
Okay.
I missed the 1 o'clock start. Apologize for that.
Just give me 1 second. Sorry about this.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so Jim, we're just about to call application 21-21, Michael S. Jemison and Christina Jemison, 195C Hummock Pond Road. John Brescher is presenting for the applicant. Is John here? No.
I wonder if people have missed this.
I don't
one
think he knows it's at 1.
At
I
noon.
mean, at 12.
Yeah.
Do you want me to call him?
He just emailed me, so I think he does think it's at 1. I'll just respond real quick.
Okay.
Do you want to move on to the next
Do we
one?
want to, yeah, do we want to go to Arthur Reed for the 41, so that's continued, sorry, is Linda here?
She requested that be moved down. She had a conflict with Hdc. She'd like to be at the bottom of the agenda along
Okay.
with her other application.
So then we're really, is Steve Cohen on? No. So I don't think we have anyone to present any of these applications.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm not entertaining that at this time.
Fair enough.
I'll send Stephen a text.
I can't believe these people don't know that we have a 12 o'clock meeting.
I didn't know until yesterday when it came across on something.
I
I
think
found
we
out
may
at 12:05.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get it over there.
I'm surprised Edward didn't call everyone else. He called me and I'm sure I was aware.
That is
Started at
just
12.
Not true.
Well, that's why I asked Leslie to send the link back out right before the meeting.
All right, well, I'm ready to second Edward's motion.
It's already been seconded, but Chair, I
Um,
rescind that
Leslie-
motion. I rescind that motion. So
Leslie,
don't
do you
have to
see, do you see that Martin Bork has his hand up? I think it's been up since the beginning. I don't know if that's a mistake.
It has been up since the beginning, but we can,
Oh, he took it down. Forget it.
he's
So-
here for an application later.
File 22-21 was continued, so I can throw away the paperwork.
Richard Ralston has his hand up.
I will allow him to talk.
Mr. Ralston, did you have something to ask?
Yes, well, I'm an applicant for 33 Goldfinch, and I can speak to the application if John Brescher doesn't show up soon.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I believe he'll show up. We usually start at 1 o'clock, and today we started at noon because we had a very long agenda, so we'll give him a couple minutes, but thank you.
Okay,
Oh, here he is. He's signing in now.
great.
Thanks.
You're going to start with the old business, correct?
Yes, so we're gonna start with 2121 Michael S. Jemison and Christina Jemison, 195C Hummock Pond Road. John Brescher presenting, and there he is.
So excuse me, Susan, can you just text me when you're finishing up so I know to get back on?
Yep.
Yeah,
I will.
likewise.
Leslie, will you remind me to text Lisa when we're finishing?
And Ed.
Okay. Someone. Perfect.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Thank you for indulging me. I very quickly, who is my board on this one? Because I know we had a Mullen rule issue with the last time?
So we have, it's myself, Mark, Jim, Elisa, and who's
I think it's Jeff.
Yeah, I said Jim. I have 4 people, but I don't know who the 5th is. It's Susan, Elisa, Mark, Jim, and who was our 5th?
Jeff.
Oh, Jeff. Okay, sorry, Jeff.
All right, thank you. For the applicant, Attorney John Brescher. We went before the Board of Appeals last month for the increase of ground cover for a pre-existing non-conforming user ownership situation, as much as it's a condominium. And the question before the board was sort of there is an existing ZBA decision, and it limits the amount of ground cover that is available. And my clients are requesting to increase that amount of ground cover. They have letters of support from the other condominium unit owners, and there was a letter in opposition and to the matter. I won't speak for the letter of opposition, but the question came up with the board as well about what the pool cabana looks like, and if there is the proper septic permitting that has been done. I have submitted both of those to staff about a week ago, and I hope that those have come into your packet. So again, if you have any other questions, please let me know. But sort of the HDC plans have been approved, and the septic has been approved as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
Do we have a copy of the HDC and septic plans?
I think page 109 are the elevations starting. And the certificate of appropriateness is, actually, it's just the application. It's not signed on 108.
And I should be clear, if I may, Madam Chair. The applicant has no intention of having this as a bedroom or as a living space. It's for his kids, and the idea is to have it sort of as a snack room for the pool. That's
okay. I know looking at the minutes from last time, we talked about having it limited to not for human habitation.
I mean, there are no bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Susan,
Yes, Elisa?
may I comment, or are
Sure.
we not at that stage
No,
yet?
you can comment. You're good.
So I just want to be clear that I asked to see the plans during our last meeting, not to see what the design looked like from the outside. I know that's not within the jurisdiction of this board. I know that's for the HDC. I asked to see them because I wanted to see the layout of the proposed interior. And this looks like a guest house to me. So the playroom looks like it's just been labeled as playroom, but it's a bedroom. And then we have a living room, and then we have a bathroom that's accessible. We have a kitchen. I mean, it looks like a guest house to me. I know that's not going to be a popular thing for me to say with John and the client, but I think you should be applying for this as a guest house. I'm new to the board, but I mean, I'm just using common sense here, and that's my comment.
Madam Chair, may I weigh in for a second?
Sure.
It simply can't be a guest house, given the number of dwelling units on the property. It cannot have a bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen. There are already 3 dwelling units out there, which is the whole reason they're in front of the Board of Appeals, because it's the 3 dwelling units predate the bylaw. So I certainly appreciate the comments, but it cannot be another dwelling unit. Just can't be.
But there is a kitchen shown, there's a full bath shown, and then there's what's called a playroom, and that looks like a bedroom to me. So it looks like just changing out the word playroom into bedroom would make this totally illegal.
Yeah, if it turned into a bedroom, it would be. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
So I think the only way that I would be okay with this, but I'm only one person, is that it would be called out that it is not for human habitation, that it's not, there are no bedrooms allowed. I'm just going to go down. Jeff, did you have any comments on this one?
I would say that I probably agree with Elisa. I mean, it certainly looks like a guest house and a dwelling unit to me. So, and I might suggest changing around the layout. You know, it looks and reads like a guest house for sure. So,
Jim, how do you feel about this?
I would agree with Jeff and Elisa on the characterization of that. Bill.
And Mark, how do you feel about this?
I think I'm with you, Susan. If this project was limited to no habitation, I'd be okay with it, but I understand what the other commission members are looking at for the plan, and I can see their point of view.
Mm-hmm. And
I have another question.
sure.
This is a, this is an association, right? Of 3 different properties. This property is part of an association that is made up of 3 different properties. Is that true?
It is not really. It is one large property, and there are 3 separate units within that property. If that makes sense. So it's 195A, 195B, and 195C Hummit Pond Road.
Are they all owned by the same person?
No.
Have the other 2 property owners commented or agreed to any of this?
Yes, they've sent their letters of support.
Okay.
John, will you do me a favor? Will you read me, I can't, my page with the addendum of what you're asking for relief for is, I can't, page 106 has gone missing on my desk. Can you just give me the Reader's Digest version of your?
Sure. It's effectively a modification of an existing zoning board of appeals special permit that limited the amount of ground cover for each unit to 2,500 square feet. The applicants are proposing to expand their ground cover to 3,309 square feet, which would be a ground cover ratio of 2.9% in the zoning district that stipulates a maximum ground cover ratio of 10%. So they're well under. Again, the reason this is before you is that that there is an existing special permit from the zoning board of appeals, because when the predecessors in title were doing work, the use was deemed non-conforming because they had 3 separate dwelling units, and the 3 dwelling units predated the adoption of the zoning bylaw. So that's how this condominium has existed. That's how it was created, and because of that previous non-conforming use, that's why it is in front of you today, because they have to modify any modifications to the condominium, whether it be this unit owner or any other unit owner, will require zoning board of appeals approval. Or at least as it relates to ground cover.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. That's exactly what I was looking for. Does anyone on the,
Chair,
what was that, Mark?
may I speak through you, please?
Sure.
After Mullinson and looking at all the documentation, it was clear to me that the proposed site plan Exhibit B on page 111 doesn't have the appropriate zoning information on it. It shows it as LUG2 and R20. I think this exhibit needs to be updated as part of anything that we're going to approve.
I can chime in on that very quickly. The reason you're absolutely right, Mark. It was rezoned to it was rezoned to I think VR actually.
VR, correct.
VR in I want to say April of 2021 town meeting. So, but no, understood. It needs to be updated from the surveyor.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public or any attendees? I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone with a hand up about this one. Leslie, was there any additional mail on this that wasn't in the packet? No. Okay. Would someone, does any board member have any additional comments or questions for Attorney Brescher? Okay. Would someone venture to make a motion for this one? Do we think we're ready to vote? Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing some nods. So, so a vote in the affirmative. Well, so here I would ask, if we are going to make a motion, I would want two conditions. I would suggest two conditions to be there. That the final CO would specify and restrict it that it is not for human habitation. And Mark's suggestion that the site plan be updated to reflect the correct zoning.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Sure.
I would much prefer. How about this? I do not want to come out of here with a denial. So I'm not sure, sort of sensing the tone of the board or the consensus of the board. If there's anything we can do to try to make this more palatable, short of I mean, if a redesign is the only way, certainly I'd rather know so we can come back with a continuance and a redesign if need be, rather than a denial. I would certainly much prefer an approval, but
I think that sounds like a smart move. Elisa or Jeff or Jim, do any of you have any suggestions on how this might look, more like a cabana to you? I mean, my suggestion would be probably the kitchen. But
May I speak?
yes, Meg.
I think that's a good idea, John, because I would deny it as it is right now. A true cabana would not have that kitchen at all. And it would just be, in my opinion, I don't know what's within our, purview to suggest, well, it's a suggestion to be one room with an attached bathroom or a bathroom within it, a half bath, an outdoor shower, perhaps. That would feel more like a cabana and not a guest house. But with laundry room, full bath, what I'm interpreting as a bedroom, a living room, a dining area, and a full kitchen, that's a guest house to me. Thanks.
I think, John, if you lost the kitchen, I could probably vote for it the way it is now. I don't necessarily have an issue with the two separate rooms. in actuality, I'm sure that people will be sleeping in there, but they won't be cooking in there. And I think that, in my mind, that's probably okay. I don't think the kitchen is appropriate.
Jim, do you have any comment on that?
No, mine really mirror Elisa and Jeff.
Okay. Mark, do you have anything to add?
Yes, thank you. It's unfortunate that the room is labeled kitchen when it could have been labeled snack bar, because I understand that with the bifolding doors that it can open up and service the pool very nicely. So I don't have an issue with having a sink and a refrigerator in that space at all. If I had any qualms about this, I would think that the playroom and great room could be opened up to one another by removing that wall and using it in that fashion.
I'm frankly not sure I have a big problem with with an under-counter refrigerator type of a thing or a sink. A cooking appliance, to me, it becomes a kitchen, it becomes a living unit, it becomes a dwelling unit.
I agree with you, Jeff, on that.
Yeah, I just following up on that, I just think, I guess I have an idea what a cabana should look like. And my concern is this whole cabana creep, for better phrase. It's becoming a gray area. I know cabanas are important component now, but this seems to be way over the line, in my view.
Mm-hmm. John, is that good?
Yeah, that is. I can tell you that I think the Mark and Jeff sort of hit on the right point of that the kitchen is designed to be a snack bar, but I'll get more clarity from them on all of this and see what we can come back with as a more palatable cabana.
Great. So if no one has anything else, I would ask, would someone please make a motion to continue this to the next regular meeting, which I believe is November 18th.
I would make that motion to continue.
Okay, and would someone second that, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, so Jeff makes the motion, Jim seconds, and I will go down my list. So myself, I, Jeff.
Aye.
Elisa.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
And Jim.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion carries. This is continued until November 18th.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so that's hold on one second. Okay. We can move on to Leslie, do you want to text Lisa and Ed?
Oh, I don't think I have their numbers.
I can.
Phone,
I do.
but Stephen Cohen is now in the queue, so he's here. I don't know if you want to just go ahead and take care. Do you want to take care of? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I've been getting some feedback. Do you want to take care of Goldfinch since Mr. Brusher and the owner are here? And that should be a quick one, I think.
Don't jinx us.
Okay, so we are going to move to 2621. Richard R. Ralston and Doreen Ralston, 33 Goldfinch Drive, with John Brusher presenting. So I just said before we really started, and John, before you were on, I am not on the abutters list, but I do live in Naushop. So if someone has an issue with that, I'm happy to sit out. I don't believe I have a conflict.
You're not within 300 feet, really?
No, you know, it's funny,
Really?
no, I know, I looked at it and the people around me, like, so what am I don't, I'm 26, 28. I don't even think 30 was on there.
Okay.
So,
Which one, which file are we on?
sorry, we've moved down. It's page 258 to 270 in the packet. It's on 2621 Richard R. Ralston and Doreen Ralston for 33 Goldfinch Drive. They're looking for a reduction in setback from 10 to 5 feet. But I'll let John Brescher present what he
Let me
wants.
find it first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm slow. Waited. 20, oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. Fire away, John.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the applicant attorney John Brescher representing Richard W. Ralston and Doreen Ralston, the trustees of the Ralston Realty Trust. So you summarized the application quite well. The applicants are requesting special permit relief pursuant to bylaws sections 13930 and 13916C1 in order to reduce the 10-foot side yard setback to 5 feet in order to site an addition to the premises. The addition will be as close as 6.5 feet from, or 6.4 feet from the side yard lot line, as shown on the site plan we submitted. I also submitted the HDC drawings. They didn't make it, they weren't in part of the initial application, but we sent them after the fact. They have been approved by the HDC. And this is this section of the code allows the side yard setbacks to be reduced in R5 from 10 feet to 5 feet. I'll note that the Naushop subdivision was historically RC2, which allowed for 2 5-foot setbacks. So many of the homes in there abide by this 5-foot setback. And so I think that in doing that, given sort of the history of the neighborhood and the facts before you, that the reduction of the side yard setback from 10 feet to 5 feet would be in harmony with the purpose of intent of the bylaw. That pretty much summarizes it. My client is here for any other additional questions, but please let me know if there's anything else I can answer for you.
Okay, thank you. So does anyone on the board have a comment or question to start us off with?
I have a question. It's not
Sure,
really a
Ed.
question. It's more of a commentary. It's an odd bylaw. That you have to come in here to ask for permission. Why not? But to get to 5 instead of 10.
It's just because it's been upzoned, right?
Yeah, okay. So
I
it
assume.
used to be 5, then got up to 10.
Right, so if this had been the original design of the house, it would have conformed before the upzoning.
What year did this get upzoned?
Do you know that, John?
2008.
8 or 9? Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
right, yeah, when they changed from RC, right.
All right.
I mean, I see the HDC C of A, but I don't see any drawings. Were there drawings submitted?
Those are on page 262 of your packet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they were on the back of.
64, 63. But this is my 262 is blank. So maybe just.
My 262 is this,
Oh, yeah, that's not what I have.
but that
That's
isn't,
okay.
that's not showing, this is only showing the northeast perspective, which is, I think,
Yeah, they're not plans.
that's the sunroom that is already conforming, that we're only talking about the stoop and the proposed addition off of this driveway.
Okay,
I don't think those made it to the packet.
okay. But I mean, looking at the GIS map, it certainly looks like most of the buildings are tied to at least one of their 2 setbacks. You know, it seems reasonable to me, but I don't know if anybody wants further information.
I have the HDC plans. I think they came in. Oh, it's the same thing that's in your packet, actually. Never mind.
I mean, I guess, do you have any concern, Lisa, vis-a-vis, you want to see the plans in terms of height and whatnot, or is it just more you'd like to see full information when people apply?
Well, no, I mean, I guess I was just curious because I have sort of a partial C of A, so I was just curious about seeing the drawings. I think, you know, I always like looking at them, but I don't know if I necessarily need them in this case. I think if they're allowed to go to the setback, then we shouldn't necessarily be judging the massing as long as it conforms with zoning. That's an HGC issue.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know how everybody else feels about that.
I agree with Lisa.
The property owner has his hand up.
Okay, let's go to Mr. Ralston.
Hi again. We purchased the property in 1996, well before the zoning got changed, and I've gone before the Architectural Control Review Committee within NOSHOP. Everything has to be approved, and it turns out two addition plans made by the same architect and passed through the Architectural Review Committee this year had the old zoning map of 5 feet and 5 feet, RC2. And so even within NOSHOP, the people who are first in line for approving plans didn't know the zoning had been changed. I mean, that's how stealthy it happened to us. It happened in town meeting, but many of the residents, especially back then, were only seasonal owners and weren't well represented at town meeting. So I never knew, nor did my architect know, that the zoning had been upgraded to R5. So our original application for building permits this year got bounced because of the zoning violation. So it's not an excuse, but it certainly is sort of the scenario of, in keeping with the feeling of the neighborhood, many homes are 5 and 5, not 5 then 10 in terms of setback.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ralston. Mr. Cohen? Can you unmute Steve? Leslie? While we're waiting for Stephen to get unmuted, I was just going to say that I appreciate that. So the HOA Architectural Review Committee already reviewed this and approved it at the 5 feet. So that's correct, right, Mr. Ralston or John?
Go ahead. No, sign it. And this is fine.
Are we waiting for Steve? Are you able to talk?
I'm here. Yeah. Can you see
Okay.
me? I don't think I'm in video.
No, but that's okay.
But
Did
can you hear me?
comment? Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. That's fine. Probably best for everyone.
What did you have? Did you want to add something to the discussion?
No, I got a message saying that the host told me was trying to unmute me.
Oh, that was because you had your hand up.
Oh, sorry. That was just to be admitted. So that was just so Leslie knew I was here. I can wait until my thing's up.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll talk to you in a few. Thanks.
Can we confirm that there were no letters from abutting neighbors?
Sure. Leslie, did you have any mail outside of anything that we would have seen? No. Okay.
And also, just to clarify, I can't read it from the plans, but John, you gave a distance, where the distance from the lot line. There's two parts to the addition on in the back and on the side. What are those numbers? How close is it to the line?
It's like 5.4 on the left and 5.3 on the right.
I read that as 6.4.
Yes, I think it's 6.4. The application said 6.4 was the closest. And the other one I think is 9.9. The other side is fine because that's 5.3. And right now, one side can be 5 and one side is 10 in the upzoning.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you.
So
That's
for
right.
me, I think that the Architectural Review Commission, the fact that they, the homeowners association, the fact that they were okay with the 5 feet is influential to me, plus that they were upzoned. Who else have we not heard from? Michael O'Meara, do you have any comment on this one?
I do. Given the fact that we have not heard from the neighbor at 35, or at least I don't think we have, which is where the special permit, the side the special permit would be running in. And the fact that it was upzoned, I'm prepared to approve this application.
Did anyone else on the board have anything to add to this one at this time?
You can probably answer this, Susan. What is the when an area gets upzoned, how many years afterwards? Is it 7 that you can, or is it immediate?
No, that 7-year thing is, and Leslie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't dealt with this in a while, but my understanding of that is that before the warrant is published, if you have a plan that's in process, you can, no, not anymore. Okay, then forget it. Okay, I haven't done that in a while. Yep,
So,
Leslie, go for it.
without explaining the whole thing, in this situation, it was a subdivision that was already created. It was old, so the zoning went into effect as of the first publication of the notice of
Right.
the change of zoning.
That does not seem fair.
That's just how it goes. Can you well, whatever. I'm not even gonna get into that conversation. So great. So,
What Leslie, what am I thinking about where there is some grace period?
if that's what I was gonna say, I don't even know if it still exists, if you had a plan filed, right? Like if you had an A&R plan like in process.
Not even. I mean, we've even seen ones that, this is more on the Pulpus Road that I remember, that, there was a grace period. It expired, but there was a grace period, I thought. But no, I'm making that up.
There's a lot of different options, but I think the one that you're thinking about on the Pulpus Road, the zoning was approved at town meeting to be implemented at a later date. So that's one thing that can happen. You can file an A&R plan with the town clerk before the vote of town meeting, and you can freeze the use of your property for 3 years. You can file a definitive plan, or you may already have a recently approved definitive plan that freezes the zoning for 8 years. In a nutshell, there's a few more details to it, but in this case, Shop was an existing subdivision. It wasn't subject to a zoning freeze. And so the zoning went into effect as of the publication of the first notice.
Interesting.
Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else in the public that wanted to speak on this? No. Okay, so I made notes of who I'm gonna for voting. I'm gonna have Lisa, myself, Jim, Michael, and Ed. When we do vote, are we at the point where someone would like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion to approve.
Okay, so Jim, you're making the motion to approve the relief as requested?
Yes.
And I'll second it.
Lisa's seconding. Okay, so I'm just going to go down the list. So Jim,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
myself, I, Michael,
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Okay, so that passes. Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, so do we want to go back up to? Do we want to go back up to? Do we need to take a vote to continue 40 Warren's Landing? Leslie?
Yes, I thought you did that already, but maybe you
I
didn't.
don't think we did. So application 2221, Adam Delaney Wynn, trustee of Warren's Landing Nominee Trust, 40 Warren's Landing. There's a motion to continue this until the November 18th, 2021 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I'll make that motion. Will someone second it?
Second.
Lisa seconds. Okay. So myself, I, Lisa,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Elisa.
Aye.
Okay, so that moving on. We can't, and Linda's going at the end, so we can move to 2421. Stephen L. Cohen, trustee of the 6th Village Way Realty Trust and trustee of the 37 Pocomo Road Realty Trust, 6 Village Way and 37 Pocomo Road. Steve Cohen is presenting. Thank you so much. Good, how are you? Thank you. And that is, sorry, FedEx, and that is on pages 199 to 232 of your packet. Mr. Cohen, you have the floor. Is Stephen still here? I have Stephen still listed as an attendee. Do we need to move him over to panelist?
I'm trying to move him over. It's just not working.
Okay. I'm just gonna, while you do that.
Oh, he's over now. He's a panelist.
Okay, Stephen, you have the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. Does she show it as a seller credit?
Stephen, are you on mute still? Yes.
Yes, okay, I'm good.
Great.
Okay, hi, everybody. Should I start?
Please do.
Okay, so this application has a couple of moving pieces, so I'll try to break them down and keep it as simple as possible. So this.
Somebody has background noise that needs to
What's
be.
going on?
I think it's Jen.
Jen, they can hear you on the Zoom.
Thanks.
So the properties that we're talking about are in Lug 3, and one of them is a conforming property.
Steve,
We can still
we
hear.
can
her.
still hear Jen.
I think she used my name in vain.
Okay.
Yeah, we can still hear her.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. So it is a conforming lot in Lug 3 zoning that's vacant. And it is there's also a 5,387 square foot lot that has a 1920s house on it. That was previously subject or granted relief in 2000 to confirm that these are separately buildable lots. However, at that time, there were some conditions put in place, which we'll get to in a minute. First, let me tell you what we're doing today. What we're doing today is coming in for an application to demolish the existing house, which has already been approved by the HDC, and to build a new house. That new house would be one single-family dwelling. There's no cottage, there's no garage, there's no spa, there's no pool, there's no anything. There's really no room for it on that lot. The existing house is a 987 square foot footprint, of which 934 square feet is located within the existing front yard setback. So nearly the whole house is within the setback. It's 4 feet to the front yard line, and it's 8.3 feet to the side yard set line. So essentially that 1920s house is, more than 95% non-conforming as to setbacks. The replacement house is proposed to be 1,167 square feet. So, about 80 square feet larger and, within the same size and scope of the existing house.
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble because of the ancillary noise.
Okay, I could log off and log back on my phone in a different room. If that would be, or I think maybe
I mean, is anybody else or is it just me?
No, I can hear it. I can hear people walking and.
Yep,
Pretty
it's loud. I can't.
Really hear that.
Why don't I log
The
back?
rest from the case.
Why don't I log off and log back onto my phone in a different room if you'll give me a moment. Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry.
In a few hours. I'm trying to talk.
Unless it was a secret information that I could have used, but
Well, the problem is you could just hear noise. You couldn't hear words. Okay. Michael, how was Hawaii?
Fantastic.
Oh, good.
My favorite island was Maui, obviously, but we had a great time.
Yeah. You only went to Maui and Oahu, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a few other places, but not islands. Actually, we did go to another island, Bainbridge,
In Washington.
Seattle. Yeah, outside of Seattle.
That's nice. Beautiful.
Great place. You're lucky.
Well, I don't live there. I'm not that lucky.
You were lucky.
Yeah, I was lucky. I get to go home, but
Great place.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay.
If only we had housekeeping matters to deal with.
I know. Glad we started an hour early. Lots of waiting.
Like when I lay out plates for dinner every night, I either have a different one for me or a different one for Sasha. Like Steve will eat what he generally prefers too. It's different.
Is that
Eating vessels. Eat out of a low dimmed bowl, flat bottom.
Steve,
Oh, now I hear Ed. Okay,
yeah.
great. I apologize for that busy office, and
It's one of the challenges of those new Zoom reality.
yes, for sure.
All right, so why don't you give us maybe just recap the highlights of what you were just saying and then keep going.
Right. Okay, so the relief we're applying for is related to two properties that are abutting each other. One is the conforming lot in Lug 3, and the other one is a slightly larger than 5,000 square foot lot that is in front of it. The conforming lot is vacant, and the lot in front of it has a 1920s house on it. The 1920s house is 987 square feet, of which 934 square feet, nearly the whole thing, is in the front or side yard setback. Obviously, it existed before 50 years before zoning was adopted. What we're proposing to do is to demolish that house and rebuild a new one, which has been approved by the HDC. And, the plans that are submitted to you show the HDC approved plans. And we are making a significant improvement so that the new house, which is 1,067 square feet, which is only about 180 square feet bigger than the house that's being demolished, is about 402 square feet in the setback. So a reduction of, about half, more than 50% of the encroachment is being eliminated. There's also a 123 square foot deck that could be considered an encroachment if it was made out of wood, and could be not an encroachment if it was a stone patio. If the board doesn't care, we would take the relief to include the patio, the deck. If the board cares, we can convert it to a patio. It doesn't really matter, but it's just one of the questions to be answered. So that's essentially the main relief that's being requested: to demolish a house that is as close as 4 feet to the front yard setback and 8.3 feet to the side yard setback, and then to rebuild it so that it goes from 4 feet to 20 feet at the front yard, and from 8.3 feet to 16 feet on the side. Unless we count the deck, then it would be closer where the deck is, if you granted that relief. So that's the main question. Then there's a couple of ancillary questions, because the property is subject to some zoning relief that would need clarification if we do this. So the first thing is that there was a prior zoning permit that was granted, a variance that was granted to confirm that these two lots were separate buildable lots. That was granted back in 2000, and when that was granted, it was a condition was put in place to say that you can only have one dwelling on each lot, which my client is not trying to change, and that the structures on 37 Pocomo, which is the conforming 3-acre lot in the back, would have to be 100 feet from the northern property line, which is the line that abuts the three properties on Village Way. And that's fine. We're not trying to get a buffer to that. But then it also requires a 50-foot wide natural vegetative buffer along between those three properties and this property, which is fine for the most part, except in 2004, the prior owner actually installed the septic system within that buffer zone, and the septic system for the house at 6 Village Way. So in other words, the house at 6 Village Way that is benefited by the buffer also has its septic system on the lot behind it, on the other side of the property line within that buffer. So we'd be looking for a waiver from the vegetative buffer only as it pertains to the lot line between these two lots, and not as it pertains to the lot line abutting the other two neighbors who are unrelated parties and should still be benefited by that buffer. So partially it doesn't exist already because of the septic system, and partially it doesn't need to exist because these two properties are have related owners. So that's one clarification that we'd be seeking, is that the vegetative buffer would have an exception along the property line between 6 Village Way and 37 Pockmer Road, but not along the rest of the northern property line of 37. The other thing is that the prior owner came in and sought a relief so that they could raise the height of the existing structure that was there, and they were just trying to change the porch. And so the board approved that, but put a condition in place saying that you couldn't change the height of the existing structure more than, I think it's 16 feet. So what we'd be doing is seeking relief from the board to say that the the conditions that were specifically related to the design of the other house don't apply to this house, and that we'd be able to, essentially construct the HDC approved house without any limitation on that was applicable to the prior design. And in fact, that if you go back and read the decision, the reason why that was put in place is because the relief, it's not that the ZBA was trying to prevent the house from getting bigger, it's that the applicant only applied to change the porch. And so the zoning board, I think correctly put a condition in place that said, we're only giving you permission for what you asked for, not to change the whole house to that height. So it wasn't so much to keep it down, just to limit them to what they had asked for. So I think those are the three questions in front of the board today. One is, can we demolish the existing house and rebuild with a lesser nonconformity than exists today? And I should point out that when the house is demolished, not only would we lose the pre-existing non-conforming benefits that it has now, but some could argue that there would be a merger issue. I don't actually think there is, because of the way Nantucket zoning bylaw provides for ownership to be record ownership as opposed to common control. But that issue has never been litigated. So I just wanted to point it out and note that we are trying to avoid merger to the extent it's applicable, and also preserve the non-conforming benefit to the extent it exists, or to the extent it's being requested to exist, because obviously we're requesting to keep much less than exists. So those are the questions. One is the changing the size and location of the house. Two is clarifying the vegetative buffer between these two properties, but not the other two properties. And then also confirming that the height rule from the 2002 permit is applicable only to that permit and not perpetual. Thanks.
Stephen, can I ask you, why did you think that the height relief, the restriction on the height would apply to the house that you're talking about now?
I don't think it does. I think that permit allowed for an alteration to that house. And when you are not trying to seek the relief provided for in that permit, you can essentially ignore it and go with the relief provided for in the new permit. However, the old permit also says any changes need to come back to the board, which I don't think the board does these days, but for a long, long time was basically in every permit. So it could be read that, it says in the permit, in the 2002 permit, that any change really needs relief from the board, which we're asking for. But the board could easily issue a permit that just says, build in conformity with the HDC approved plans, which I think is typically what you would do to keep the height and shape and footprint and everything in check. And we wouldn't necessarily have to do that. But, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I don't want to go to the building department and apply for a permit and then be told we only got half our relief.
Right. I mean, it seems specific to me because you're talking about condition A, right?
Yeah, the height one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand, Susan, why that wouldn't be applicable or germane.
What?
I don't understand why you don't think that's germane.
Well, because it's for the design of the other house, right? Is what you're saying, Stephen? It didn't,
Yeah, yeah.
that it applies to the
well-
house. It applies to the house on lot 2D,
Right.
right? So the condition is there shall be no increase in the height of the main ridge of the roof of the dwelling upon the locus as it now exists. And this
Right.
is for the 6 Village Way, lot 2D on Land Court Plan 16220-B.
Right.
So,
And the reason for that is because the application was only to change the porch. So they were saying you can change the porch, but don't have any funny business and go up with the height of the house, which
I
I
think
think was,
it's germane for that house, but the one that you're looking to demolish is not that house, right?
no, it is that.
It
house.
is,
We're
it
looking
is
to,
that house.
Definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
then, okay, sorry, then my mistake.
Yeah.
It is germane. I'm sorry, Ed.
yeah, it's,
I mean, it
The-
seems
yeah.
to be a condition that was put on the relief then, that you can't go any higher, and and I'm sure it was because of the style of houses out there at the time, and unfortunately I sat on it. It was a long time ago. What year was it?
2002, 19 years ago. Ed, you're a dedicated public servant.
That's not right. I gotta get a life. I don't know, Michael, what do you think? You sat on it as well, didn't you?
No,
Actually, I didn't.
You were in the
And
room.
I don't remember being in the room either, but not that I would remember. But I would say, I would tend to agree with, I would say this, it wouldn't be unusual to specify that the main ridge won't go up only because of an interpretation. It didn't specifically say that it was the porch roof that was going up. So to throw in that the main ridge won't get any higher I don't think is that unusual at the time.
So what you're saying, Michael, is, in your opinion, if I'm hearing you correctly, the restriction to the main ridge not rising was more to limit it to the porch versus because that was what was requested for versus.
That may be the case. However, what I'm saying is that Stephen's argument is that they weren't asking for anything to do with the main ridge, is what I understand.
Mhm.
And just to be clear, they threw in the condition that the main ridge doesn't go up at all. So I mean, it's believable. Whether that's what happened or not, I can't be sure.
I don't understand why the ZBA at the time, even at the time, would have just thrown in that condition if it wasn't important to them at the time, that yes, that we'll give you the deck or whatever they were applying for, but and then they threw in, oh yeah, and you can't raise the ridge height.
Well, I think they could have, I think it could have, if it could have been worded differently, that the change in ridge height applies only to the relief as requested, which is limited to the porch.
Correct.
If it was worded that way, then it wouldn't look like a prohibition on work being done in the future to the ridge line of the main ridge, the ridge line of the main house.
The other thing is
what Michael's
that
saying.
in 2002, the decisions were written by the zoning board.
I don't see what's your point there.
Well, it's just, I'm not sure what the point is, but maybe the conditions were a little clearer today than they were now.
oh, clear today.
You mean they were written not by the zoning board, but by the administrator? And
Correct.
How is that different than, now a lot of
But the
times,
lawyers write them
most
now,
of the
right?
time, Lawyers do.
Yeah.
But maybe the administrator was following copious notes that the lawyers might not follow if they wanted to exclude something from the minutes.
Yeah, well, there is that, but
Who knows? But I have a question. the porch that's being proposed on, I think it's the north side, is obviously probably no taller than the existing house, correct, Stephen?
Correct.
It's got a roof porch.
Yeah.
So theoretically, if this building were to move, I guess you still have the ground coverage issue, but the building theoretically could move south and the whole two-story section could be within the zoning envelope if the height became an issue. Right? I mean, the restriction on the height shouldn't,
Well, the height, the height of the existing building is, it's probably 12 feet.
yeah, but when you look at the elevations, what I'm saying is if you were to build within the zoning compliant area, the dotted line,
Mhm.
would you be held to the previous variance?
No. If you
Yeah,
Yeah.
so my point is that if you look at the site plan, there's a two-story box. And then on the north side, there is a single-story shed. So if they took this building and they shifted it, which it can shift a bit to the south, very little of this two-story mass would be actually in our jurisdiction for height anyway.
Oh, and they would, if they shift the building, then they don't get well, I guess they could put the 2 parking spaces up front and.
Well, they can put it on the other lot that they own behind it. That they're asking for relief from keeping the buffer zone on. Correct, Stephen, that lot that you're talking about removing the buffer on is
Well,
right behind this
it's
lot.
it's behind
It's
it,
a
correct?
separate
Yeah, I mean, I
lot.
think we'd rather have that parking would be kind of far away from the house, but it's
No,
not.
no, the house
physically-
would shift, the house would shift back.
So Lisa, if I understand what you're saying is your suggestion is that, the portion of this house that's within the front yard setback is mostly 1 story, right? And if we shifted it back to get all the 2-story into the conforming box, then you'd be more comfortable with it? Is that your
So I'm
suggestion?
just throwing it out as a suggestion to to people that
Yeah.
might have concerns with the previous language.
I mean, I guess my concern is that if you look at the side by side, you can see nearly the whole house is in the front yard setback. And if you look at the currently proposed, very little of the house is in the setback, and most of that is 1 story. It's a very small amount, and pushing it back, I think, just kind of compresses the lot and eliminates the parking and causes some problems. I'd rather not, but
Well, I know you'd rather not, but I mean, it's, obviously there is more building in the front yard setback now, but it's all a single story structure. And I can't read how tall this building, the new proposed building is. Can somebody tell me?
Let's look. Elisa, you had a comment?
I completely agree with Lisa, and let's get it within the setbacks, and then there is no issue. And if I were to guess, the 16-foot height restriction was exclusively for that ruling in 2002, I would guess. I was a teenager at the time, but I would guess that.
So
No,
was
but-
I.
So,
We all were.
but I agree, whether it's 1 or 2 stories that needs to be chopped off and moving around so it fits within the building envelope, then I would approve that.
Well, and I just want to be clear, Lisa, I'm not suggesting that the whole thing fit within the building envelope. What I'm trying to suggest is that to avoid, and can somebody tell me how tall the building is? I still can't read it.
If you go to page 222,
222. Hold on, room 222. Where is
Yeah,
222?
and then you have X-ray vision.
yeah, you do need X-ray vision.
Yeah, I
but
can't read it. Can somebody
I'm gonna
blow it up?
Rely on Edward for that.
There's
for
no
X-ray
certificate of
reading.
appropriateness, like where you could maybe read the number.
I think it says 24.
I do too.
Okay.
yeah.
I like
that's
the,
what-
I like the,
Oh, you have a magnifying glass, smart girl.
Oh,
that is great.
I think it says 24 as well.
So I think
And what was the existing?
16, did they say? What was
It has, or is that the neighbor's house? Never mind.
What is the existing, Stephen? Do you know how tall the existing cottage is?
I don't, yeah, I do. It's here. Oh, no, that's the new.
I mean, it's one story. It can't be. it
13
can't be
feet 7.
More than 20. It's
Yeah.
probably 16, 17. It probably has a very low roof pitch. It probably isn't more than 16 feet.
No.
13 feet 7.
It says
What
14.
it? 14.
You look like
That's-
a.
Inspector.
So I was just trying to, alleviate the concern that Mr. Tool had in terms of, changing the height restriction in regards to the previous approval.
So, yeah, I get where you're coming from and where you're going, but I guess what I would say is when the zoning board had a chance to look at these lots and confirm that they were separately buildable lots and put some general conditions in place, the height was not considered to be an issue. It was just the number of dwellings. And that height question only came into place when they came in to apply for relief for a porch. And since that porch is now being eliminated, I'd hate to see the board read that as a general limitation on this lot when it really was specific to the design that was applied for at the time.
Okay, let me rephrase that. But if you slide the house back, you'll have less house within the building setback.
Sure.
Maybe that's a better way of putting it.
I like that.
So are you suggesting that the house slide back so that there's no two-story portion outside of the setback? Is that?
I think
Well,
what she's suggesting is if you to limit to be less non-conforming, like already you're making it less non-conforming by moving out of the setback, but the height issue, it seems like that's an issue for board members. If it slid back and less of the ridge height was over the 16 or whatever it was, then that may be more palatable to the board because it would be less, in addition to the setbacks, it would be less non-conforming. Is that, that's what I think I'm hearing.
That is correct. I'm just trying to make a suggestion to make Mr. Tool more comfortable with the fact that the height was put on when he happened to be sitting on an application, and he feels strongly that it was put on for a reason.
So if I may, Stephen, I'm hearing from Elisa, Lisa, and Ed that sliding it and making it more or less non-conforming would be a good thing. So would you like to speak to your client about that option?
I would. Why don't we talk about the rest of it and I'll text him.
Okay. So the rest of it was wherever my notes are.
Oh, can we get a summary of that? So we have 3 issues. We keep bouncing back and forth between 2 of them.
I wrote
So
down.
is this kind of horse trading here that we're going to allow less, not apply the height restriction if there's less conformity or more conformity? Is that what we're saying?
On that particular one, Jim. And so if you look at.
I'm not particularly saying that, so.
It's just an idea. It's what we're saying is, are we going to continue the conversation? If his client says, I'm willing to think about that, that's an option, then we could continue. But if his client says he absolutely isn't willing to do that, then that's a different, the conversation takes a different track.
One comment about the height thing.
Sure.
I understand everybody's view on this, but I just have an overall problem of if it wasn't addressed in that ruling, why are we kind of trying to decide what that meant, and we have different views of what it meant. I think we should read what's in that decision. I mean, if we look back at that time, are we saying everything from that period, we kind of, because the zoning administrator wrote it, we kind of take into account these things? I don't know why we're doing this and trying to interpret that is my point. And I understand what Steve's saying, but if we're gonna interpret things that way, do we have a specific time period that we said, okay, every zoning ruling between this and this, which I don't think is possible, we kind of, take it with a grain of salt or come up with our interpretation. That's my comment. on
I
the
don't
height.
think, I
I
agree.
would rather stick to that height restriction applies, not just.
Well, and that's why I was suggesting getting the bulk of the two-story structure outside of the
Yeah.
front yard setback.
Okay.
That was my suggestion. Because it seemed to be a concern, but again, that was only a suggestion.
So
Steve,
let's,
Can I just, one other question, Steve, that you can clarify. So these two houses, they haven't merged, so
the two
going
lots, yeah.
forward, they could be sold separately. That's what you're saying.
That's correct. They're
Okay.
currently owned by different record owners.
And I think
With
that's an important consideration when looking at the buffer. So that's my point.
So Stephen, can you explain the other things that you're asking for relative to Exhibit A? Which is page 218. I understand that the little single-story house is on the upper right corner. This 100 by 59.66 is the septic system easement that you'd like to remove the 50-foot buffer requirement on that piece, but not on the 235.53 length of.
No, you're correct. Only on the section of the boundary line where between 6 Village Way and 37 Pocomo. 37 Pocomo.
Why is that,
fronts-
Stephen?
Why are they asking for that?
Yeah, why do you want to?
Because those lots are currently have related owners, and they'd like to be able to landscape it together to have like a little walking path and connect the lots, and and also the septic system is there. You're not supposed to have, they cleared a bunch of land when they put the septic system in. But you're not supposed to have trees and plants over a septic system anyway. So it's essentially been in violation since 2004, and nobody has complained about it since then. When it was done 2 years after the condition was put in place.
But this is not a separate
Did you
buildable
provide us
lot,
with
correct?
any photos? Did you provide us with any photos of that? I'm just curious if we could maybe reduce in that area the 50-foot buffer so that the way is still.
Which
I
way?
think it's south of the way, Susan. It's where the words 235.53 are.
Yeah, the way is on the opposite side.
There's buildings between this line that Stephen's talking about and the way.
On page 218?
Yeah, so here, if you look at can you see? This is where he's talking. There's actual cottages up here.
On this side, not
Yeah.
the septic,
Yeah.
not the septic system easement area, but the other side.
Yes. So my question is, the septic system easement area cannot be subdivided off of 17A because that would make that an undersized lot, correct?
Correct.
So you can share
You can have
property with your septic system. I mean, I could put my septic system arguably with my neighbor's permission on their property.
correct by easement. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna ask this, I thought this was a separate lot, and I was like, why don't they just combine it with the other house and you don't have any setback issues, but that's obviously not the case, so.
So there are 3 different properties that front on the northern boundary of 37 Pocomo Road. One of them is 6 Village Way, which we're talking about here, which is on the right side or the east side. And then there's a center property and a west property. And we would maintain the buffer for the center property and the west property, but would like to reduce or eliminate it as it pertains to the lot line between these 2 properties. So just to recap the 3 things we're looking for, which we sort of started in the middle. The first one is demolishing the existing house and rebuilding, and then building the new house with a lesser setback violation. And it sounded like the commission might be, or the board might be okay with that if we slide the 2-story portion to the south a little bit, is where I think that might be going. And then the next issue is that the height rule that was applicable to the prior zoning application would not be carried forward, which I think is somewhat addressed by Lisa's suggestion of moving the 2-story section out of the front yard setback. And then the third thing is either reducing or eliminating the 50-foot vegetative buffer between these two lots that have related owners.
How much of it did they clear already?
I haven't been out there, but it was cleared to put in a septic system, so that's a pretty significant size.
Do we have a septic plan?
Well, you can replant after you
Yeah.
put a septic
Yeah.
system in.
Yeah, I mean it's been
And
it was
the
in
fact that
2004.
It's been like that since 2004 doesn't make it right. Just
No, of
make-
course not. It is a little odd that they did it so quickly after that condition was put in place. I mean, if the board wanted to limit it to, some kind of percentage of clearing or something like that, we could probably make that work. My client doesn't necessarily want it to be clear cut. They want to maintain some kind of buffering as well. They just don't want to, I mean, obviously they don't want to plant over the septic system, and they'd like to be able to maintain some kind of, path between the two properties. So the client's need is not to have a full clear cut lawn there anyway, where they're required. So, if we did 50% or something, if we did a, it's not, it's not a 100% need.
Well, if the house shifts back, aren't you gonna have to shift the parking down into the part of the slot?
Potentially, the only other place to put it is in the front, which would be, I think, less attractive.
Mhm.
I don't know if we can put, yeah.
Well, you should be able to put, and grant the other lot an easement for parking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might be that they would shift it in a way that still allowed you to have some of the parking there. I don't know. Certainly, at least one of the cars would have to move.
Do you think it makes sense to, well, I'm gonna let everybody, but does it make sense if people are in agreement that the building should maybe shift back? Does it make sense to have a plan that shows that and shows the septic system and shows a proposed amount of clearing that's a little clearer?
Clarity is always a good thing.
And exactly where the vegetation is being removed and replaced.
Yeah, because I just want to see, I think if the building is going to shift back, and I don't know, I guess we should pull the
Mhm.
board and see how many people feel strongly about that. What is that going to do to the overall site plan?
Well, pulling the building back certainly is something that could be done through staff, because it's, you're just shifting it. It looks like 8 feet is my guess, but
Well, I don't think they're going to want to put their parking on
Mhm.
Village Way on the north side.
No, probably not.
So I'd like to see the plan that shows the parking shifted onto this septic system easement and where the septic system is, because they might not be able to drive over it. It might not be rated for driving.
I also want to see what the buffer, I want to see a plan that shows where what the buffer is supposed to be, and then photos of what the buffer looks like now.
Okay.
Or what they propose it to be. too, because they
Existing
can
and proposed.
supplement it. Yeah.
Yeah, existing and proposed.
Yeah, that would be helpful. And the the septic system.
Yeah.
Okay. So the location of the septic, the as-built.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe, I don't know, is there a survey? There's got to be a surveyor involved, but I don't see any surveyed plans. Maybe the surveyor can just put together a plan that shows all this stuff on one.
Yeah.
Between the property and the easement.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'd rather get approval today, but what I'm hearing from the board is you'd like to see a new site plan shifting the building back. You'd like to see a new site plan showing a reduced disturbance area. Those are obviously something we could provide in time for the next meeting.
I have one more comment. Can we just look at page 223? This just sort of helps us with the height situation. It looks like all of the other houses are that are nearby, 27 feet, 28 feet, 28 feet. That little cottage is 13. I can't really tell exactly which of, it's helpful that there are pictures of the surrounding houses and then there's the one that you want to move. Maybe you could just say which house is on which lot on the locust plan, just so we know which is which. But as far as the height goes, it would still be shorter than all of the other houses nearby, except for 11, the little cottage. But I don't know if this is something we're allowed to comment on, but I think the height would be in keeping with the surrounding structures.
Yeah.
If that even.
Yeah, I think at 24 feet, it doesn't seem too tall. I think it's just a question of, and again, it was only a suggestion. I don't know how everybody feels about pulling it out of the front yard setback so that we don't have to worry about the last decision, that we comply with it.
I think it would be helpful. And I think that the board put it on there for a reason. But they also put the condition on that, if they wanted further relief, they could come back to the board. So it wasn't an absolute forever, but I think it would be helpful. Do we, Leslie, was there any other mail on this one except for, there was concern from a neighbor, Richard Preston and Lori Lilly, who live at 10 Village Way. And I think they're one of the houses that's on this list,
Yeah.
but anyway.
They're not in a butter, they're one over, but yes.
Right, their concern was any disturbance to the vegetative buffer running along the northern property line of 37 Pocomo Road.
Yeah, I think their concern is whether there's any impactful disturbance. And since there's an entire lot between them, you're talking about hundreds of feet of vegetative buffer between them and the area we're proposing to disturb. But I'm comfortable coming back to the board with the site plan and disturbance plan that's being requested. I can see why the board would like to see that, and I'm happy to provide it.
Okay. I don't see that there's any attendees with a hand up to speak. Did the board have anything else for Stephen before it looks like we're going to move towards a continuance on this one? No? Okay. Would someone make the motion to continue this one to the November 18th, 2021 meeting?
I'll make that motion.
All right. So Lisa made the motion, Michael seconded. I will go down the list for votes. So Lisa?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Myself, aye. And Jim?
Jim
Aye.
Feely.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, great. So we will revisit this on November 18th.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate everybody's time, especially Ed, since he seems to be carrying over from the 2002 hearing.
Hey, I don't think that was my first one either.
I don't think so either. Dedicated public servant. Thank
I
you.
would say he's not only former chairman, but I would say he's the current historian for the zoning board.
No. You were here before I was.
I said the current one.
I like that. Can we appoint him?
Don't see why not.
Do we?
Thank you, everybody.
All right, so Cohen, Steve, you don't have any more on today, right?
I'm good. Yep.
Okay, so we can, thank you, Stephen. We can bounce back to Brescher. Our next application is 2521 John J. Berry and Nancy J. Berry, 1 Goose Cove Way. John Brescher is presenting on this one, and that is pages 233 to 257 of your packet.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. For the applicants, John J. Barry and Nancy J. Barry, Attorney John Brescher. The Barrys are the owners of One Goose Cove Way. The property is zoned VR, and the applicants are requesting a special permit relief pursuant to Nantucket zoning bylaw section 139.2, which is the definition of a residential swimming pool. The lot at One Goose Cove is approximately 30,000 square feet in the VR zoning district, which requires minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet. The lot and the structures conform to all the intensity regulations of the zoning bylaw. Effectively, the applicant just wishes to construct a new pool with the customary appurtenances. Pursuant to the April 2017 annual town meeting, residential swimming pools in VR now require special permit relief from the Board of Appeals. And so they're requesting the special permit relief in order to site the pool as shown on the site plan we attach. We have HGC approval for this. Just to refresh everyone's memory, for the definition of swimming pool states, in the VR district only, the zoning board of appeals acting as a special permit granting authority may grant a special permit to allow a residential swimming pool on a lot, subject to the following criteria being met. 1, the lot must meet or exceed the minimum lot size for the district, and 2, that the side and rear yard setbacks of 20 feet shall apply to the residential swimming pool and the associated mechanical equipment. Both of those things are applicable here. I know that there was a letter of opposition in the that was submitted in your packet. I'm not sure if you'd like to hear from that abutter or not. My client has we reviewed the letter of opposition, and effectively the screening. I submitted additional photographs after we received the letter. I'm not sure if they made it to your packet or not. I think they were just sent yesterday or maybe on Tuesday, so they may not have. Showing the vegetation, my client is committed to installing Leland cypress per the landscaping plan on his side, and another landscape buffer around the pool equipment. Also, we checked with the health department relative to swimming pools and well radius, and there is no problem with any of that. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have in the meantime. But that is the extent of the application.
So I just wanted to pull up those photos so I have them.
Question.
Sure.
So by the applicant saying they would put in the additional Lelands, did that make the abutters at 6 Arkansas who wrote the letter in opposition, did that appease them, or does their letter still stand? That's my question, John.
I'm not sure, but I believe the abutter is raising his hand.
Oh, okay. Martin, did you want to speak?
Yes, I just want to address a number of issues. First of all, the drawing submitted by Val Oliver is not showing the locus of the pool equipment. And the drawing from Don Bracken shows that the pool equipment falls within the 25-foot setback. Secondly, our main opposition is regarding the water quality. The EPA says 4 parts per million for chemically treated water. The World Health Organization says 2 parts per million. We're not just concerned with chlorine, we're also concerned with the other chemicals that pool companies use, iron out reducers, enhancers, etc. With first septic, the pool's got to be at 150 feet, I believe, from the leach field. This is right close to our wellheads. My wife suffers from an immune disease, and her health is very problematic. We're concerned about leaching. We're concerned about the discharge of water. That's our argument, basically, in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you so much. So if I heard you correctly, there's three concerns: the chemicals, the setback, and the leaching. I think we address in the decisions in these things. Can you maybe, Leslie, can you mute the abutter for a minute? Just some feedback on my end. Thank you. I think when we do these decisions for the pools in VR, we usually talk about how the pool will be either emptied or pool water will be disposed of. So I think that one we will probably address. Attorney Brusher, maybe you can speak to the pool being in the setback. I think that's what I heard that was an issue. And I think you've already talked about there's no requirement of it being far from the well, but you can address the concern about the leach field.
Sure, I'll go one at a time. The site plan submitted from Don Bracken's office, I'm looking for the date on it, but I can't seem to find it. But
is it September 13th?
That sounds right. Yes, September 13th. Shows the swimming pool at least 20 feet away from all setbacks. It's same with the pool equipment, so I'm not sure what the question is as it relates to that. The second part is as it may relate to any leach field, et cetera. That's an issue with health department and Board of Health to make sure that that all complies. I'm not sure that I see on the plan where the leach field is and where the septic system is, but it will need to be blessed by health department in order for for any permit to be issued.
And then can you address, or do you have any knowledge of how your client plans to deal with pool chemicals or?
I mean, it's going to be a saltwater pool. So I think it is best practices, for lack of a better term. I don't know exactly the mechanisms or the procedures that they'll use, other than to say that I am confident it will. I mean, since pools are rampant down here, I suspect it will be done in the correct way, the best way possible. How about this? We haven't gone as far as we haven't gone that far yet, other than to know that it's salt water.
Okay.
Just
there we go.
Point of not order, clarification. Saltwater pools are not salt. It's not all salt. It's not like you're jumping into some Morton salt.
You're not going to float.
It's a reduction in the other chemicals. So we don't have to hold that out as a great thing.
Environmentally friendly.
Right. It's still chemicals, but I think we do address that with to Susan's point, with I don't know if they're 10 or 11 standard things that we've been doing on these approvals in terms of those concerns. I mean, I don't know that we've ever been asked to talk about the leaching, but again, I think I take John's point that it's a Board of Health issue, and they would be looking at those concerns. That's not something that we would normally be, knowledgeable enough, frankly, to voice opinion on, at least in my case. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
No, I agree with you 100%. It would have to meet the health code.
Yeah.
I don't know what the separation issue is or quotient is. So we're not blessing a violation of that.
No.
We're not blessing anything yet. And yeah, I also, speaking to Lisa's point, with other pool applications in this zoning district, there are, let's say 12, I think Lisa said 12 things that are common and required. And we would want to see the same thing.
Leslie,
that
do you
what
have yeah, do we have a copy of those that could just be read? From
Sorry,
another application, some of the standard,
a copy of, I'm sorry, you want me to read some conditions from a prior
yeah,
decision?
the ones that we generally put in,
Okay, hold on, I'll have to find one.
just so the newer members maybe can understand what they are.
Did everyone look at the screening or the,
Well, it looks
Val
like there
Oliver's
is a 15-foot wide landscape buffer that runs on between 6 Arkansas Avenue and then the left side. I'm not looking at the plan of the north arrow. So that's a vegetated buffer, correct? I don't know if that's vegetated or just landscaped. I guess I don't know what the difference is between those.
are you looking at page 251?
I am looking at 237.
251 is Val Oliver's plan for what's proposed.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at Don Bracken's plan.
So
Because that's,
237.
yeah, that's, I think, what we would want to vote on.
No, I know. I'm just saying, for example, I think that, I think the September 13th plan is the more recent plan.
Okay, what page is that?
236, because I think the 237 is from March, right?
Okay. Yeah, but it still has the buffer. Do you see the buffer?
Yeah, no, I know, I see it, but I'm just saying, like, there's other things that I think changed on the plan. So it looks like from, it looks like Val Oliver's plan shows they're gonna put a wire fence within the privet and natural vegetation around the area. There's already the existing 15-foot wide landscape buffer. And then John, what were you saying about Leland cypresses?
Sure. Let me get the exact language that my client.
Because the plan I'm looking at is submitted by an abutter who's saying that the trees are actually on their property.
Mm-hmm. So my client is, Mr. Barry, is saying that he said on the north border of the same plan, note the large trees on my property which do not include the existing abutter trees on 6 Arkansas. And I'm also committed to adding 10 new Leland cypress along the north border with the installation of the pool. So it would be those 10 along that 15 landscape buffer to the north.
Where is there a landscape plan here that you're referring to?
I think just Val's.
Oh,
It's just Val's that went to the HGC. It's not much of a
Page
plan.
251.
I thought we customarily require a little more detail on the plan. We have in Nantucket.
Yeah.
I would like to see that.
If you like that, we can get it.
Do we have a lighting plan for this? Because I think we usually do we have the conditions that talk about lighting too. And yep, Leslie.
Can we just screen share conditions from another pool permit from Nantucket in this area?
Thank you.
Oops, I don't think you want to see that. Okay, does everyone see my daughter? Sorry about that.
No, we see the thing.
Just
We
the
see it.
plan
Oh, I can't see. Okay.
for the conditions.
So it seems like condition A deals with some of the concerns with the chemicals.
Always B, so you can't use your well. You need to have municipal water supply.
To fill it?
Or you have to contract with a private
Right.
company to do it. Yeah.
So in other words, yeah, that
Mhm.
seems fair.
And then, yeah, we do. So this one does reference a lighting plan and a planting plan. Does this one have a COA yet?
Yes, this one does have a COA, but we can certainly get you a more detailed landscaping and lighting plan.
What is the legality of the landscape buffer? How is that worded? That shows up on Bracken's plan. Is
Lisa,
it a non-disturb or is it a?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can look through their deed and any of the subdivision documents to see if this was a requirement for when the Goose Cove subdivision was created. Similar to how there is a 10-foot wide landscape buffer near the driveway closer to the east, closer to South Cambridge Street.
Right, so I guess I'd like to see what the legality of that is and some photos of what that buffer looks like now.
Sure.
Or is that what the neighbor sent? I
Which
don't know.
one?
Exhibit F3, these photos.
Those are from the neighbor. That's no, that's from the Borks.
Right. So
But
clearly,
we have-
any planting that has to happen should be happening on this property.
Lisa, did you look at the pictures that Leslie sent us? I don't want to close out today that show.
No, I haven't had a chance, sorry. I'll look.
They show the north, the west. It's pretty significant buffer on the north.
When did she send them?
I think it was, let me just look, hold on.
Oh, no, maybe yesterday.
Sorry, no, yeah, yes, the 4:48 p.m. last night, and it was the email attachment that says Forward Berry Pool, Nantucket.
Oh, for some reason I don't have it. I must have. Well, I don't have it. I must have deleted it by accident. So, but whatever you guys think relative to that. But I think it'd be interesting to get more information on what the definition of the landscape buffer means.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we typically require a pretty detailed landscaping plan, especially in Nantucket. And I know this is probably beyond our purview, but we do have the granting authority. I hope to see as much native plantings within that plan as possible, John.
Understood. That makes sense.
I hate introducing Leland cypress to the Nantucket landscape.
Well, it looks like if you look at the bird's eye photo, Jim, do you have these photos from?
No, I don't. When did
What number are you talking about?
I can screen share those if you want.
Yeah,
That'd
that'd
be
be
great,
awesome,
Leslie.
actually.
Thank you.
Because it's the west and the south that are like privet, that's kind of scraggly at this point. Like it's not going to be great big screening at all. And
it will be because it's invasive. So
right, but the north, I'm saying,
editorial view.
like it's all native. But again, we need. It looks like it actually, the northeast looks like it's already all Leland cypress.
Leslie, when did you send this to us?
I sent that on Tuesday at 4:47. I'm just trying to.
And I think
There
I
we
do
go.
now.
Here, I'm just gonna, can I forward it or is that a violation?
She's pulling it up now, I think.
I'm gonna screen share.
Oh, I see now. Sorry about that. I didn't see the attachments.
That's helpful.
Okay, so that looks pretty full.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna scroll through these.
I think this is the best one.
So I guess I'm not really worried about the vegetation on the south. Obviously, they need to have, there's, I should rephrase that. I guess it's not an issue from a visibility perspective, I suppose, but I guess if we want to make sure that there's adequate screening there, we should include it. I like the native vegetation a little bit more than I do Leland cypresses personally. But it would,
But John, where are they proposing to put the Leland cypresses? Isn't it just?
It's just along the north.
Yeah, so it's in addition to the north is already pretty screened.
Right.
And if you go back, Leslie, to the one that is the northeast or the north, it's like, it doesn't really look like there's much room to put any more Leland cypresses there.
I think one of the issues is how they run the fencing and where the fencing gets run relative. If they're doing hidden fencing in the landscape, are they going to have to cut some of this buffer down to get the fencing in? And then I guess my question is, if there is a landscape buffer to the west, what, right now there's only one scraggly roll of privet. What is that buffer supposed to be?
Yeah, so we need a more detailed landscape plan. And also I agree with you, like, are they, whoever was saying, finding out about more details about the landscape buffer? I mean, are you allowed to put fencing down the middle of it?
We can look through the deed and the homeowners association documents, see if they have any clarity on that.
Okay. All right, so I see some people with their hands up in the attendees. Oh, okay, let me go to Elisa first.
Just wondering if there's going to be an automatic cover on this pool and therefore it wouldn't need a fence. I don't know. What do they want?
I don't know. I'll ask. My guess is the automatic cover was not anticipated, but I don't know. So let me check.
Okay.
Then they would have to have a fence.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyone on the board have another comment before we move? There's a bunch of people with their hands up.
I just want to clarify that buffer on the north. It looks like the majority of it's on the adjoining property owner. Does that constitute a buffer, or does the property owner need to do that? Which they've agreed to locate 10 trees there. I just want to clarify.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I think regardless of what the neighbors have, this owner needs to maintain and have a 15-foot vegetative buffer on their property. So if it doesn't exist now, it needs to be in existence. And so that will show up on a landscape plan. So anyone else on the board before I go to the public? No. Okay. So for the public, I do not have, I'm just going to take you in order that you're listed on my screen. So Mr. Peter Bauer first, if you would like to voice your comments or questions or concerns.
Yes, I do. I hope the connection is good enough.
It is.
I'm the owner of 38 Arkansas Avenue since 1995 and have a neighbor, a relatively new neighbor with a big pool, and they placed the pool pumps, that means 2 pool pumps and the heater right next to our property. And that concerns me because of the noise. So having heard all the discussions about planting around a pool, I'm more concerned about the noise of the pool equipment. And that was not discussed, so maybe I can hear what your position is to that. I mean, it's loud enough so that at night, the police agreed with me that they have to shut it down at night. Otherwise, it was on for 24/7.
Can you repeat your address, please?
38 Arkansas.
38 Arkansas. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not directly in the butter, but as you might know, the layout of the land is here a little bit
bizarre,
unusual.
Okay, thank you. We have not addressed pool equipment, but we usually do talk about the equipment, the location, and we have addressed it in other pool applications in this area. So that is something we will talk about. Thank you for your bringing that up. I can't see your last name fully, but oh, Kerry McKenna.
Yes, I'm here. So, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so thank you, Carrie McKenna, 22 Arkansas Avenue. And thanks for the opportunity to respond to the application. I'm going to just read a quick thing that, some of our concerns. We do oppose the application to install a swimming pool at One Goose Cove Way. Nantucket has a very rural feel. It's peaceful even in the height of summer, and that is a key part of the peaceful, relaxing spirit of Nantucket. That being said, the introduction of neighborhood swimming pools into this environment works directly against many of the initiatives that the town and many groups are working towards: preservation of the environment, power efficiency, saving water quality, and dark skies. Swimming pools by their nature are a drain on natural resources. They use the most energy when the island is going through peak demands in the heart of summer, where this summer we broke the record on August 13th for peak demand. At the same time, we're trying to avoid the cost of adding a third feeder cable to the island at a substantial cost to the residents. As we enjoy the peaceful nature of the island, neighbors would now be able to listen to the hum of filters and pumps, as Peter referenced, and potentially up to 24 hours a day. And apparently that issue hasn't been addressed in the plan yet. As the island embarks on dark skies initiatives to preserve and protect Nantucket's nighttime environment and heritage of dark skies, well, not full-time lighting, I guess, has to be shut off by 10 o'clock is introduced. And again, it's done for the safety of the pool, but to the detriment of these island initiatives. And as you mentioned, that the proposal lacks a lighting plan. And in water quality, many committees on the island meet to work towards preserving our single aquifer water supply. Nantucket owners are under mandates to update septic systems for the preservation of the water supply in harbor waters, and in the future potentially pay for sewer lines. Yet thousands of gallons of chlorinated, and yes, even if it is a saltwater pool that's chlorine in it, need to be disposed of yearly from each pool. Unless it is disposed of off island, away from the aquifer, away from the harbor and the eelgrass, this water erodes the efforts of all these actions, one pool at a time. And the reality is, as we've learned with the fertilizer rules, that making rules doesn't mean an owner's going to follow them. This brings me to my next concern, which is notification. We received an unstamped, unpostmarked envelope with the Zoning Board of Appeals return address in it, and in it was an unsigned, undated notification of this meeting. It was delivered to our postal box at the UPS store. This is the only notification we received. My experience on island and off island is notices of this nature are sent by certified mail to each abutter from the applicant themselves. If there is a defined process of notification, like I mentioned, and which the HDC mentions in their website about that applicants shall notify abutters by a certified mail, this looks like an attempt to minimize attention to the request and blow it by the neighbors. If this is a non-compliant notification, it does not bode well for how well the applicant will follow any other regulations and rules to respect for the responsible safe pool operation. If this is considered by the board to be sufficient notification, unstamped, not postmarked, unsigned, undated, then there is a bigger problem related to openness that definitely gives the homeowner an unfair advantage by being able to minimize the visibility of their applications. So thank you for your time, attention, and we do appreciate all the volunteer jobs you have, which are not easy. So thank you for your time, attention, and opportunity to express our concerns about this application and the quality of life here in Nantucket. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll get to you, Ed, in just a second, but Leslie, did you hear from anyone else that they had an issue with the notice or how it was received?
No, and the zoning board is required to publish a public notice in the newspaper of general circulation, which we use here, the Inquirer and Mirror, 2 weeks prior to the meeting date. The first publication of the notice has to be at least 14 days prior to the meeting date. That was completed. We are not required to send out public
This is
notices
business
via
now.
certified mail. They just have to be sent regular mail. And the person received it, so they did get adequate notice.
I just want to make sure that we had a notice issue that we address it. Okay, so yep, Ed, sorry, what's up?
I just wondered where Mr. McKenna's property or house is in relation to this, and he probably told me earlier.
We're not direct abutters. You know, we are, if you, you know, this area, you know, we're the townhouses. So we're one of the strips of townhouses that are within the, I guess, notification circle that they're supposed to do. I don't know, it's 1,000 feet or whatever. So we're within that, but we are not direct abutters.
No, I'm not saying you need to be a direct.
Oh, yeah, but that's, we're in the townhouses that run parallel to Arkansas Avenue.
It's in the middle of that big building, Ed, that's to the west.
On a specific plan.
Yeah, I'm looking at the locust map. If you head west, it's the middle of the big building, and the other gentleman who dialed in was even further away, but similar condition with those pork chop lots. He was, you don't see him on this locust map, but his lot does come in pork chop around. And it's the right-hand side of the building, right bottom left of the empty lot.
Okay. So the townhouses are the ones that are listed with you're looking at page 238 to 239, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, those are close. So just wondered. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move on to Ada Ruth Wade.
Good afternoon. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Ada Ruth Waig. I am one of the owners of 34 Arkansas Avenue. Our property is located southwest of the property that we're addressing today, One Goose Cove. And I would mirror the concerns of both Peter Bauer and Carrie McKenna, and reiterate that there's concern for the noise and the light and the water quality. Personally, I would prefer there to be a structure around the pool equipment so that it can prevent or mitigate some of the noise. And I also do want to speak to an issue of notice. I was not aware of this until last evening or yesterday afternoon, late yesterday afternoon, which I put in my letter to Leslie and sent over to her today. There was something spoken about certified mail, that it wasn't not required. So I suppose that takes that away. Then the issue would be of the groundwater and the pool relates to the water quality and making sure that those issues are addressed. And the last would be having a 4-wall fencing as opposed to a 3-wall fencing around the pool for the purposes of safety. The neighbors, I'm sure that there won't have anybody coming onto their property, but generally it is safer to have a 4-wall as opposed to a 3-wall fencing around the pool. And I believe that's all I have, unless there's questions.
By four walls, you mean the wall that is the house is not enough? You want this, you would like in a perfect world it to be separated from the house?
Having fencing with around all 4 corners of the pool is safer and more as recommended as opposed to the regulation, which is only 3. And then the house counts as the 4th wall. But it just is safer to have a 4th wall that is an actual fencing.
I just want to point out, if you have an auto cover, you don't need a fence at all.
Yeah, plus the house needs, if you don't have an auto cover, it needs to be alarmed.
Yes.
Code.
Yeah.
So I don't see that as a
No, all I'm saying is I don't know, the fourth wall thing to me seems
Yeah.
a stretch.
On page 237, it does point out the proposed pool equipment with a 2-foot landscaped area surround. Just, I don't know if anybody saw that, but it is on the plan, on Bracken's plan on page 237.
Those are probably plants to disguise the
So they don't see it.
Yeah.
equipment, but certainly wouldn't have any impact on the noise.
Yeah.
I have used pool pumps equipment that are on the quiet side. You do pay extra for that, but this board might want to look into that for maybe this application, maybe future applications, because it's considerably quieter and everyone wins in that situation, the neighbors and the homeowner.
Michael, now that you say that, I feel like when we did the first couple of these in Nantucket, I think we did have conversations about like the different decibels that the pool equipment had. I don't remember the property addresses of those, but I think we may have addressed that in some early decisions. Maybe we can look back.
Okay.
Because I think they have different ratings. Does that sound
That's
familiar?
correct.
Right.
And it's there's a little more work involved in quieting them down. So they are, I'd say, not considerably more expensive, but they are definitely more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, can I give here a comment on this? I have a pool in Florida, and I.
Can you just identify yourself, Mr.
Yeah,
Bauer?
sorry about this. This is Peter Bauer,
Mhm.
and I'm at 38 Arkansas. I have a variable speed pump installed in our pool in Florida, and you hardly can hear it anymore. The neighbor here on Nantucket at 6 Goose Pond Cove has regular pumps too, running very noisy. We are talking about over 50 decibel A, and it seems like I cannot do anything about it. He just says I'm not doing anything as long as I don't overstep an code or ordinance of the town. And I just want to make sure that with new approvals, this will be all put into consideration. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to continue on to the, let's see, who hasn't spoken yet? Mr. Burke? I have Martin and Donian with their hands up.
Deneen.
Sorry?
Her first name is Deneen.
Deneen. Okay, sorry about that. Thanks, Ada. Deneen Burke, did you have another comment? No. Okay, Martin Bork, did you have another comment? Okay, no. Carrie McKenna, your hand is still up. Did you wish to add something?
No, I will lower it. Thank you for.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Martin Burke, you took your hand down and put it back up. Do you have a comment or?
Yes, the drawings I've got from Don Bracken shows 21-foot setback on either side. And going back to the point of the salt water, we've had numerous failures this year with salt water failing, and the pool companies have resorted to using chlorine, iron out, etc., to keep the pools clean and functioning for the summer.
Okay, so the setback, the plan that you have from that was in your exhibits, I think that you submitted, is outdated. So the setbacks are now actually 31 and 21.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
there's a discrepancy in the two site plans that are part of this application. One proposed a pool at 9 by 21, and the next site plan proposes a pool at 14 by 28.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to resolve that matter.
So the September 13th plan was the one I was going off, and that one is the 9 by 21. John, can you confirm which
Yes,
one is correct?
it's 9 by 21.
I mean,
Yeah,
9
this
by
was, this was
21,
this
sorry.
was submitted after the fact, but this is the most up-to-date one.
Okay.
So the most up-to-date one is page
236.
Okay, so it's an enlarged one like this. It doesn't have a Bracken site, it doesn't have Bracken title block on it, correct?
No, it does.
Mhm.
It does. It looks like this.
Okay, I'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah, page 236. There's another one in the back, which is was sent with page 248, but that was sent, I think, with one of the abutters, the Bork's letter.
I'm referring to page 237.
Okay, so I think all the attendees who wish to speak have gotten a chance to speak. So my notes, just before we continue the conversation, the notes that I have right now are, obviously, John, your clients need to get this whole situation blessed by the Board of Health regarding any septic issues. We are going to look at the conditions from past decisions. You're going to find out from your clients about the cover, whether it's automatic or whether they are going to continue to want a fence. You're going to provide a landscape plan. You're going to investigate the 15-foot buffer and what the requirements are of that. The board has expressed an interest in or a preference, and we have, I think, on every pool application in Nantucket that comes our way about native planting being preferred. We're asking for a lighting plan, and also in the past we've done limitations on the lighting, down lighting, low wattage light bulbs, things like that, and I believe there's a whole lighting code that needs to be, that you can look at. The neighbors brought up the safety of 4 walls versus 3 walls for safety's sake, the fence, equipment location, looking into the decibel rating, and the screening. The neighbors have expressed concern about noise and would be interested and like to see a structure around the equipment to mitigate noise. I believe that's something that we have supported in the past. And I don't know about the limit of hours of operations on pool equipment, if that can happen, but that sounds like a good thing to me. Is there anything, guys, that I am missing, and anything that
the specifications on the pool equipment are important, because as someone talked about, the variable speed pumps are much quieter.
Right. So I believe in the past, people have submitted to us, not the whole manual or whatever from their pool equipment, but they've definitely given us what the decibels are and all of those specs that Ed is asking for.
And,
Sure, I'll see if I can get this.
And is it possible to get a copy of the noise ordinance?
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I'm just curious if there's a decibel level noted on them and to compare next to the pool equipment specs.
Sure.
Excuse me, this is Peter Bauer. Can I chime in here?
Sure.
Because I looked at this frequently. The problem here is that we are in an environment which is extremely quiet. There is no noise there. Even Nantucket Road is so far away, you don't hear any cars. All you hear is birds and maybe the ocean. And what we hear now are only the pool pumps. So the thing is, in a quiet environment, mechanical noise is more disturbing than, let's say, in downtown Nantucket or Manhattan, nobody would hear it. So just looking at the decibel rating on its own is not sufficient in my eyes. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Susan?
Sure.
Peter, is there a pool out there that you're in your area that you're specifically referring to, or are you referring to the future pool?
No, I'm referring to a pool which exists already that's on 6 Goose Cove Way, and it is very close. The owner cannot hear the noise because there's a second dwelling between the pool equipment and his terrace and pool.
Okay, thank you. Do you, actually, one more question. Do you know, did he need, did that particular owner receive ZBA approval, or did he not need it at the time, or do you know any of the details?
I cannot tell you that because that was, the house was built with any notice to us. So I really have no idea on what was permitted and what was not.
6 Goose Cove.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, Ada Ruth Wake, it was before, as far as I know, before the zoning changes requiring special permit.
Okay, thank you.
I see that Martin Bork's hand is up again. So I'm going to go to him, and then I think we're going to move on to, because we've given John a lot of instruction on what needs to be provided for next time. So Martin Bork, I'm going to go to you right now. Martin Bork, did you have anything else to add? Your hand is still up to speak.
Yes, hi. Actually, it's Martin's wife, and I had my hand raised, but apparently you could not hear me on the audio, so I came in here to my husband's connection.
I'm sorry, your connection is really, really bad, so it's very hard to hear you, and there's a lot of feedback, so I apologize. I really can't even tell the tone of your voice, so.
It's Martin's wife, actually.
Right, I understand that now.
Okay, but so then how do I connect in? Because my Zoom on my computer, you're not hearing my audio. So I'm not sure what to do.
I don't know, but what I would say is we've heard a lot of you heard your issues about chemicals and setback in the leach field, and we had your letter and exhibits. So if there's something new for when maybe you can email Leslie. I think that would be the best way right now, because there's really a lot of feedback.
Okay, actually I have 4 or 5 comments. So I will email that to Leslie.
Okay, that would be helpful. And I don't know what to say about the technical issue other than it's really difficult to hear you.
Right, okay.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thanks, okay. All right, that one's back on mute. Okay, so what is the pleasure of the board at this point? Would someone
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing until November 8th. Is it 18th?
Yes.
Yeah, I would second that, and I think John has his homework to do.
Say so. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote. So all those in favor of continuing this application, Ed,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
myself, I, Lisa,
Aye.
and Jim.
Aye.
Okay, great. So we will reconvene about this in November.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Okay. Okay, so our next,
Susan,
yep,
how many more do we have?
we have 3 and they're all Linda Williams.
Okay, it has nothing to do with Linda. I just need to take a break.
Okay.
My foot is giving me a little bit of a problem, so
Okay.
I'll sit out one.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
do you want us to text you when we finish with this, with the first one?
No, it's not necessary. Because for some reason I can mute myself, but not the rest of you. So,
Madam Chair,
Yes, Michael?
would you mind if Mr. Toole went into his bedroom and elevated his foot and
well, it's elevated, and that's the
continued?
problem.
And just listened to the sounds of the zoning board to like as meditation to rest in the background? Sure.
Something
No, that's fine.
Like that. Leslie had her hand up. Maybe I'm just doing something incorrectly.
No, but
What's up, Leslie?
I just want to point out, I think we only have 2 left because Twin Street.
Oh yeah, Twin Street. I'm sorry, I had to cross that one off, right? So just 8, you're right, sorry.
Or, a 5-minute break would be adequate. It's up to you guys.
No, sit out the 6 Macy Road and we'll come back, you can come back on for
Okay.
86 Quidnet.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. So I see Linda has her hand up. And I think maybe we can, I think the Borks and the McKennas can move out of the panelists.
Are we doing 86 first or?
No, 6. We'll do them in order. Where'd you go, Linda? She's back over and as an attendee.
I think I disallowed her to talk by accident.
Yeah,
Really?
not a good idea, but I would
Hold
rather.
on, Linda, we're not ready yet. Hold on. We're still working out getting rid of getting panelists over to panelists and attendees over to attendees. Okay. So
I'd like to, Madam Chair, before we start this one, I'd like to reverse them because Steve Thoreau has another meeting at 3 o'clock and he's on 86 Quidnet with me.
okay. Does anyone have any objection to that?
So Leslie will have to bring him over also.
But first, let me make sure that's okay. Is that okay with the board? Does anyone have an objection to us swapping the,
No, I'm gonna step away then.
you're gonna, because you're out on this one.
Yep.
Do we have
Fine
enough
with me.
without? Okay, can we just take a 2-minute break for a minute? I have something for work that I have to address before 3 o'clock and I want to do it now. Is that okay?
How many members do I have, Susan? How many members do I have?
You have Elisa, myself, Michael, Jim, Mark Poor,
Okay.
and Jeff. I don't know
Oh,
if I
is
said
Jeff
that.
here?
Yep, just give me a minute, okay?
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. Okay. All right, so I'm back and ready when everyone else is. I just needed to send an email and I appreciate your patience. Okay, so Linda, do you have something you need to say?
It keeps going to mute. She keeps putting me on mute.
Well, yeah, you'll be on mute until it's your turn to speak.
Okay.
I just saw your hand up, so.
Okay. Are we ready now?
Nope, because I think Mark, Michael, and Leslie are not, I don't see their videos.
Do you see Steve Thoreau? Is he on?
He's on, but I'm not on video.
Okay. No, I don't go to video either.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Michael, you're sitting for this one, right? And Mark? Mark, are you there or do you just have your video off?
I'm here.
Okay, great. Do you mind having your video on if you're a board
Not at all.
member sitting on an application? That would be, because otherwise it looks like with the way we're doing it, it looks like you're not present. And Michael, are you back? Sorry about that.
I am now.
Okay, great. So, so we can get started. So we are moving on to application 27-21 ACK 86QR LLC, 86 Quidnet Road. Linda Williams presenting for the applicant. Linda, you have the floor. She's muted.
That's very confusing. We don't deal with that in any other boards.
Well, we have a lot of over talking, so this
know.
is how we're proceeding.
You should see the HDC.
Okay.
I guess Steve Thoreau's on here also. He'll speak to the technical part of it. This is a fairly simple application. We have older structure, predates everything it needs to predate for ground cover. It is in the setbacks now. It is very close to the coastal bank. We've spent quite a bit of time at the HDC, who has approved all the changes to it while we keep the center part of it, which is the oldest part of the barn. I've traced it all the way back to the 1890s, and then all the stuff got stuck on it. The same families owned it for decades. They have since sold it, and we're making improvements to it and making it into a year-round structure. Moving it further away from the bank, we've already gotten through Concom and we've already gotten through HDC. So because we're removing some of the later additions and reconstructing in different positions, moving it out of the setbacks, we have to be, in order to be able to take the pieces off and put it back on and not exceed our existing ground cover. Actually, we're reducing the ground cover. We have to get a special permit before we actually touch the building. And the reason why there's some impetus here to get this done now, it took us a while to get through HDC and Concom, is because we want to get it done before next summer. Lisa Botticelli's project is right next to us, and they are already underway, and we're trying to minimize the impact on the whole very tightly wound Quidnet area. We have a staging area that we have across the street. I also represent the clients immediately to the north, and on the other side of Lisa's, they own both pieces and they want it done now. So it's done before they come back from Florida. So there's a big push here to get it off and get them back on, lift it up, bring it forward towards the road and move it out of all the setbacks. But it's been over ground cover since before 1972. So it's a fairly simple application. Not a lot of bells and whistles here. My clients are happy to the north because we're moving it 19 feet away from that property line, and we're quite a bit distance away from the south property line as well. And we're outside the the road property line. So that's pretty much it. Steve can speak to the architecturals if you have any questions about that.
Okay, what would the board, does the board want to hear from Steve first before we, does anyone have any questions for Linda at this time? Okay, I don't see, oh, Michael, did you have something? No. All right,
Good, thank you.
why don't we go to Steven, since he has a 3 o'clock commitment.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We, as Linda had stated, we moved the house out of the existing setbacks on the left-hand side, and also removing it from the wetland area, which was in the coastal dune section of the bank. Again, both our approvals from the Conservation Commission and from the HDC have been granted. We have worked diligently with all our neighbors in the area to secure their comfort level as part of our HDC approval by moving the house off of the setback on one side. We moved the house forward on the lot on the other side to get out of the coastal bank. So the neighbor on the left was happy, the neighbor on the right is happy. We also left the first floor elevation at the same height as it is currently, so that everybody was on board with the application from both of those hearings. And the existing ground cover, which was over, we're actually reducing it slightly and not going to, we're not anyways trying to exceed the existing ground cover, but we're actually underneath the existing ground cover with what we're doing. And so that's where we are pretty much.
Madam Chairman, can I add one more caveat to this? If you look at the site plans, the aerials that I've given in the GIS, you'll see that these 5 or 6 lots that face east basically are composed of 3 separate lots. We're taking steps in the future, several of us are, to get rid of those paper roads and combine them. Had those lots been combined, there was a process and they didn't complete it. Had those 3 lots been combined, this would be under the ground cover calculation, but we can't use those other 2 because there are quote unquote ways separating those 3 lots that head towards the ocean. So we would be fine, except that we have to stick within the lot that we're on. And we're going to take steps to actually combine it at some point. There's a land court one, there's one that is not land court, and then there's another one that is land court. So it's kind of a sticky wicket.
And that is in no effort to be able to increase the house in its size in the future by any means, due to the fact that the wetland regulations are there and our current setbacks are in place. That would simply be just a property transfer.
Leslie, did we have any, I thought I saw mail on this one, but I'm not locating it. Did we have?
Everything we received is in your packet. I'll just scroll through that real quick.
Then I must be mistaken. I thought I saw one on the email, but I must be mistaken. So.
Yeah, we weren't aware of anybody sending anything in. We've talked to everybody.
Okay.
I'll double check just to make.
I just like to make sure that I don't miss anybody. Does anyone on the board have any questions about this one? You know, my understanding from the staff report and from the packet is this proposal not only reduces the overall ground cover, but gets it within the setbacks. Did anyone have, I can go through us, but does anyone have any comments that they want to add? Or questions for Linda or Stephen while we still have him on?
Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak while they're around?
I don't think so. I only have, I only have one other person in listed as an attendee, and they do not have their hand up, so they may be here for the next.
Okay.
Susan, because I'm new, will you just clarify exactly what relief they're looking for?
So Linda it should be in the addendum, but she is looking for, let me read it here.
You want me to explain it very quickly?
Okay.
Right, yeah.
It's in section 139.33A. It's already over its ground cover. It can stay over its ground cover. But if you want to remove it and replace it over its ground cover, you can do that only by special permit issued by the ZBA. It happens all the time in these lots that are out of town in particular, where they're removing something or rebuilding another house. You don't necessarily lose your grandfathered ground cover. But if you were to remove it today, before I got the special permit from you guys, we would lose the grandfathering permanently. So in order to maintain the non-conforming ground cover, we have to get a special permit under 139.33, which is where all those non-conforming pre-existing statute is.
So if you look, Lisa, at your staff report on page, I don't know, the second to last page, I guess, in red, Leslie has put in the section of the bylaw that is relevant to this application that talks about allowing the removal as long as the special permit is issued prior to any removal.
Yep. Thank you.
And so our finding is that the result of the proposed removal and reconstruction shall not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure and or use. So that's the finding we're looking for. So I'm just going to go through everyone to make sure. So Michael, did you have anything on this one that you wanted to ask or any?
Not yet.
Okay. Jim, how about you?
I have no comments or questions.
Okay. Jeff?
No, I'm pretty clear on it. Thank you.
Okay. Mark, do you have anything to add on this one or any questions for Linda or Steve?
Not at this time.
Okay. And Elisa, do you have anything to add?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, we don't have anyone in the audience, and it seems like everyone is comfortable with this proposal without having any additional information needed. Does someone want to make a motion on this one then?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Leslie, do you need more information than that in the motion, or is that okay?
Unless you want to impose some specific conditions, just a motion to approve as submitted is perfect.
Okay. Does anyone see the need for special conditions on this one? No.
No.
Okay. Would someone care to second that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. Jeff.
All right. Okay. So Elisa has made the motion. Jeff is seconding it. Elisa, Jeff. And I will do a roll call. So Elisa.
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Myself, aye. And Jim.
Aye.
Okay. All right. So that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Okay. All right. So Next, we are going back to 2321 Timothy Green, who's here as a participant. 6 Macy Road, Linda Williams presenting, and everyone, this is on pages 176 to 198 in the packet.
You ready?
Sure, go for it.
To the chase, this has none of the issues that went on with the other pool. This is in another area of the single family, it's not near the other ones. It is 385 feet from the guy behind through Greenbelt, 200 feet from the guy from the east, and over 100 feet from the guy from the west. The pool equipment is on the side of the house where the AC units are and surrounded by a solid board fence to minimize the noise, and it's on the 200-foot side. The HDC spent all of 4 minutes on this. They opened it and closed it because it's hidden behind the house from the road. It's so far away from the neighbors. It's out of that setback. And it's already got natural vegetation, very heavy natural vegetation, which I gave you pictures of in your packet. So the only condition that I saw that'd be a problem, because it's 12 feet below the grade of the road. It's that much of a slope down to the back of the house, that it's going to be difficult for municipal water to get in there. They don't have water. The only thing that I saw on that list that would be a problem is municipal water, or a tanker from outside when they have a very substantial well, because they have an irrigation system. So if we could fill the pool with a well, they do have an automatic pool cover, so there is no requirement for a fence. And they tend not to drain the pools during the winter when they have automatic pool covers. So I don't think it's going to be necessary to drain. But we also have to go to the Board of Health anyway, because they have to make sure they do a site review to make sure it's not on top of the septic and it's not on top of the well. So there's another oversight on this issue. All the other conditions look like they're fine. They don't want a lot of light there anyway, because they don't want a light pollution.
Do we have a lighting plan?
That was what I was just unmuting to ask.
No, but the HDC didn't require any of that or any additional screening, but I can, we'll be fine with the condition of the lighting plan, the lighting restrictions that are in that list of 10 things. Low light, light after 10, that kind of stuff. You're required to keep a light on in the pool itself, my understanding, but it's low light in the pool in case somebody falls into the pool, so they can see that there's somebody in the pool. So
Not after 10 o'clock. After 10 o'clock, the pool would be
covered.
No light, so the pool would be covered.
Yes. So we're fine with all the conditions except for being allowed to fill it from their well. Obviously not drain it, but fill it.
Now that condition came on for what reason? Can everybody remind me?
I wonder if we'd have to look back at the Nantucket plan. Remember they had their whole, the village of Nantucket plan.
Maybe it's just a water.
It's a water conservation.
Yeah, conservation thing. But we actually have a well in front of the house it's still permeable. It's still a good well. So,
yeah, but the more water you take out of it, it ruins the aquifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
I don't care how much water you get. It's the rest of us.
Yeah, I think you would still need to conform to the requirement because we're not going to get into the business of determining whose well is viable for filling a pool.
That's perfectly fine.
We would need to contract with a company to come fill it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Linda, you said that there's no other house within 100 feet?
To the rear, it's 375 feet. I wrote it down. And to the east, it's 200 feet from the pool. To the west, it's 100 feet and plus. 385 behind, 200 to the east, 100 to the west. And we had no neighbor.
That does not look correct to me. I mean,
it looks closer on the.
Yeah, a lot closer.
On which one?
Did you have to notify any abutters?
Nope, they didn't get any, they didn't care.
I'm looking at
No, I'm not talking about it
180, page
there.
180, it's the locust plan.
Oh, that's tough to go by.
Well,
What I'm- what I'm asking-
I mean, the
Up to the map here.
photograph at on 181, it's clearly not 100 feet.
Well, I'm
Doesn't-
talking about from the pool, not from the edge of the house.
Exactly. So it's actually going to get it closer. Thank you.
No, it's in the back of the house, away from the house.
Where the little red X is.
I'm not sure what you're looking at, but I assume
The little
so.
star,
Page
yes.
181.
Yeah.
Wait, but I have a question.
Yep.
Leslie, can you confirm there were no abutters to be notified on this?
No, she notified him.
It's not included in the packet.
Let me,
Oh, wait, hold on, maybe it is. Hold on. And
I'm just trying to scroll to that right now.
it's on page 196. So what's the, can you remind me how far you have to be from the locust to generate notice?
300 feet or abutters to abutters.
Okay.
It's such a large lots out there and there's so much green space behind us. It was pretty far away in the rear.
Pretty close to me.
It's 385 feet to that house across that green belt. It's required green belt by the planning board, by the way.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
The
the
side, right?
side, the direct side.
We're still outside the, whatever it is, the 20, whatever that is.
I'm not saying it's a huge problem, but just don't represent it as, it's a mile away when it's 440 feet away.
No, I'm not talking about that. I was talking about from their house to our pool, not the setbacks.
But Linda, look, it's not,
It's just
Yeah,
not even
and you
close to
measure
true.
the pool, you measure from the pool, the actual pool, not the hardscape, the actual pool to their house is close to 100 feet.
To
That's all I
number 8?
Well, what is your definition of close to 100? 50?
No, between 90 and 100.
51. So that's a little more than half.
All right, I'm not
I'm
gonna
just
get into.
saying, come in with some accurate information, not
That's
just,
what we measured it as, and I can't tell you any more than that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but it's far enough away where there's a massive amount of screening between those two lots on top of it, which nobody can touch because they get into the wetland issue.
okay, so let's look at the landscape plan then, as you're saying, there's so much green and,
Better if you look at the aerial that I gave you.
well, I'm looking at the landscape plan on 189.
Yep, I've got that, but you can actually see it from the aerials, which I gave you. They're a lot clearer than obviously somebody drawing it by hand.
This is on 181,
I don't know what your pages are.
this one.
Yeah,
Okay, so
which
that's
one did
fine,
you
but
hold? Susan, I wasn't looking. Which one did you hold up?
I held up 189, which
Oh,
is
80
this
89.
landscape plan,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, okay.
this is the aerial, which is 181,
Got
which
it.
is what she's saying. So, yeah,
that's why
what's-
the HDC didn't require anything more than what we have.
but so what's on the ground now from this aerial, that's great, but once you put in the second floor deck, all of this hardscaping and the pool and all of this, like, how do we know that's not cut back into it? So I think a landscape
decks are there.
plan is more accurate. That's what I'd prefer to rely on than a picture.
Because the decks are there and you can see on the very tiny, on the landscape plan that you held up on the northeast side of the house, you'll see the AC units and then you'll see the pool equipment enclosed by a board fence right behind them. Away from the guy on the west.
That's on page 191, right? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't
I
have
can't
your
read,
packet.
it's so small, I can't read any of the writing, Linda.
Yeah, so I had to enlarge it myself. But you see where the two little square AC units are on the northeast side?
This one I'm looking at does not have, oh yeah, it does, northeast, yes, but that says previous submission. And this is,
No, it says pool equipment around that square.
what square?
Equipment around the
There's
square.
You see the square right there? I can't point to it.
What
That's
page?
pool, right there.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
pool
okay,
equipment.
yep. Yep,
Surrounded by a fence. So it's not visible and it does sound deadening. And that's the side that we're 200 feet away from the other house.
And the AC units are existing and that fence is the proposed?
Yes, that was approved at the HDC to surround the pool equipment
Mhm.
and not visible from the travel, obviously publicly traveled way, which is their jurisdiction.
And then what is this stuff, I can't read the writing for the bubbles in red and the bubbles in red on the square.
I'm trying to see what you've got.
What's on the screen right now? That Leslie's, this
Oh,
one.
part of the HDC, which is not what we're asking for, was a fire pit. And I believe if you go to the application page, it was a fire pit and one other item, one small item. Hold on.
And those were approved?
Yeah, it was all approved as submitted, and it took literally all of 4 minutes. And there was no concern so long as it isn't visible from Attica Trust, and it's not. And the condition on the HDC was as usual with the pool is not to be visible at the time of inspection and in perpetuity. So whatever screening is there between us and the road has to remain.
How do we feel about this landscape, this HDC landscape plan?
I haven't seen a pool take only 4 minutes in a while.
Okay, let me ask Susan a question, Linda.
Yes, Ed.
Which, what are you referring to? Which page?
So I'm looking at page 189, and that is stamped HDC approved HDC landscape plan. So I'm saying, is this sufficient for us, or do we want more around this pool area?
I think it should meet every other one of these pool requirements. There should be, I'm not saying it wouldn't be able to be met, but why shouldn't they submit the same amount of information that we require from others?
I agree 100%. I mean, we need a lighting plan for sure. But I'm just saying, like, for the landscape plan, like, we require a landscape plan. Is this sufficient for us to satisfy our landscape plan requirement?
I think so. I don't think we've ever requested, like, you know, tell us what the plant material is going to be. I mean, we'd have to go back and look at some
I
further
think
ones.
we have.
I think we have.
When
Really?
there's no
Yeah.
screening on the property, but
Yeah,
we
what
have
if those are
so
little
much
petunias on this plan?
Yeah, I
If you
think
look
we
at
have.
That doesn't do
Well, but
much
she
screening.
submitted some photos that show
ton
that
of
it's
pictures.
pretty well screened.
Yeah, look at the pictures below this. It's actually way below.
I have
this.
one question though, but you are cut out, your vegetation does go off your property. You've cleared
It
onto
does.
the neighboring property. Can that get filled in?
Where do you see that?
Go back to your landscape plan. It shows it very clearly. Sorry, Leslie.
Good
Oh, right
question.
here.
Yeah, down here, well, right there at the bottom. Oop,
Oh, yeah,
There
I
you
didn't
go.
even notice that.
it's not even on their property anymore. That should get filled in.
Yeah.
Well, we can fill in that corner. That's the existing.
I thought they were so close to everybody and blah, blah, blah. No, it's just, you have to,
I still want to know what this red bubble is on the side too.
It says something about being taken off. That shows that they made a revision for the HGC.
Yes, they had bluestone there and the HDC asked us to remove it. So
Yes,
we
if you look at page
removed it.
191, that shows a fire pit over there with more bluestone, and the HGC made them relocate that, and that's why it goes further.
I see.
So we made the changes the HDC asked us to.
It would be nice just for our peace of mind to pull up a previous approved site plan. Leslie, can you pull that from that same decision where we were looking at the requirements?
I will see what I can find.
Thank you.
Hold on.
That would be great. That way we can just be consistent.
You're screen sharing right now, Leslie. I don't know if you want to, but you are.
Question. On page 180, there is a scale at the bottom of that, and it's 50 feet for this distance, and I scaled the space between where the pool would be and the next door neighbor, and it looks like it's about 75 feet. And
Yeah, I
all
think that's right.
did that neighbor get an abutter notification, or is that?
Yes.
That
He would have,
They-
yeah.
Okay.
And the
got
neighbors, my guy's spoken to the neighbors and nobody has any comments about this because they're in the
Okay.
bigger lots, not like Goose Pond. And they don't have a lot of neighbors. They have no neighbors in the rear.
Linda, it's just a
Thanks.
question. It's just a clarification question.
Yep.
Just learning curve, sorry.
Yeah, this is Elisa's second meeting. Let's not,
I know.
let's not hit her live yet.
Lisa, don't be asking any questions.
All right.
Linda will
Yeah.
take your head off.
That's right. The learning curve is ridiculous.
Can I just get a clarification on the pool? I don't know if we've had this in this context, but so is it the inside of the pool that can't be in the setback, the
Yeah.
inside, or is it
Which makes no sense to me, but apparently the pool wall can be in the setback. It's the
Okay.
water
as long as
line.
As long as it's not the inside edge of the pool, it can be. in
Makes
the
no
setback.
sense to me, but
It didn't, but I don't know how it got written that way.
I know, I think, Michael, you're the expert on this. If I'm not
I wrote the pool article, but I don't remember. what.
It's very difficult to decide when they're spraying gunite and there's a form behind it where the actual edge of the gunite is. And I think that had something to do with how you determine where the pool starts as far as the setback goes.
I mean, it seems really close, and
Foundation of a house,
don't come asking us for.
We won't.
Variance.
We've had to fill in pools before because they didn't get it quite right. We've had to put cement in one whole half of a pool.
All right, so let's look at what Leslie's sharing. So this does have, this is what I remember, right? Getting a landscape plan with these different types of suggested plants that they're going to use.
can you blow that up, Leslie, so we can read the type? Is this something screening?
This is what was submitted to the HDC by Atlantic Landscaping.
No, this is a different, what we're looking at now is from a different old application.
Yeah, so maybe
I wasn't
draw,
quite sure what this was.
go to the left.
No, this is just, Linda, this is just an example that we wanted to say, this is something that
Thank
we
you.
used
Right there.
before.
Oh, no, not too much. Sorry. No.
Well, they didn't have a lot of natural vegetation on this lot, if I remember which lot this is. And we have all natural vegetation that's not going anywhere. And it's behind the house, so they didn't require us to provide the planting plan because we have.
I don't know who they is, but
HDC.
But we
we're-
have different
we get
requirements
to
than the
require it.
HDC.
Well, it's all natural vegetation. I don't know what to tell you about that.
Well,
Nothing foofy out there.
I know, but Linda, the area that we're asking you to fill in.
I can fill that
We're
in.
showing you what we have accepted and what has been submitted in the past and what we would like to see.
Well, I'll put cedars and lelands in there because we're not putting flowers in that corner. That wouldn't shield them at all. I can fill that corner in with some of the same stuff that's there.
should
which
just
is a
be
lot of
Jim,
cedars.
do you want to comment on the Lelands and seats, whatever she just said? Lelands are not, right? Lelands are not natural or native to Nantucket. Is that true?
Well, they're becoming that way, but no, I think the land council would correct you on that.
They're not indigenous.
They're
I
not
think Linda,
indigenous.
Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't we said to people like, there's like a list of indigenous plants that landscapers can look to like get ideas? So.
Oh, yeah. But
Yeah, I
we
mean,
want something very substantial over there, like a cedar trees, because that's what's there.
Cedar would be good. I like
Yeah,
cedar.
we can put cedar trees in there because they have cedar trees the entire perimeter of this property.
The reason Leland cypress caught on so quickly is that it provides a lot of quick growth.
You're right.
And you get to 12 feet in 5 years.
Mhm.
And
So you're
a cedar tree, in 5 years, you might get a 1.25 feet out of it.
Mhm.
So the other reason why they were quantum cedars, lelands, arborvitaes, broadleaf is because they're year-round vegetation, and that's what the HDC requires, is that it be year-round vegetation when you're dealing with a pool or a spa or some other landscape element. So whatever's over there, we'll just fill it in back to the 20 feet.
So maybe we just need more notes on their plan, existing vegetation to remain with good pictures, because we don't have any pictures of the screening. We have your photos that show the house and that it's blocking the pool from the road. But beyond that, I don't think we have any real pictures of what the screening looks like.
Okay, because as I said, a lot of this came out of the HDC, and you can't go on the property, but I can go on the property and take those pictures.
Yeah, I'm not interested in going on the property. I'm hoping you can provide the info.
Yep.
That'd be
And I'll
great.
tell you what they're going to put back there in that corner.
And what exists again.
Yep.
And clarification on what exists versus what the vegetation is going to look like once they do this pool.
Yep. I think they already have a yard back there, so there's not going to be a lot more clearing.
Okay, but you can put a line of existing vegetation and proposed.
I think, Lisa, on that site plan is what that is. It's all, yes, they've got it all on here as to what exists.
Yeah.
That's existing? How do
Yeah.
it's not marked that way? Does it say that?
They don't necessarily put all the markings that I do, but that's the existing
Well,
vegetation.
then
Okay.
maybe just have them put it on a site plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for this one, Linda, we need a lighting plan.
Yep.
We need a landscape plan. I mean, you just said, you're asking us to rely on this, and then you just said there's not going to be a lot more clearing. Like, okay, well, if there's going to be any clearing, we want to see on a landscape plan. So you're offering to fill it into the 20-foot setback or 20-foot marker.
In that corner. Yep.
Not the 20-foot marker, just onto the property line.
Onto the property line.
The 20-foot marker would put you into the pool.
In the pool.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll fill
I
that
mean,
corner. Okay.
Is there a requirement generally for the special permit to provide a certain amount of screening from the property line?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, do we want screening? Like, do we want any more screening like on this
Yeah,
side?
I mean,
Do we
should there
want
be,
any
like-
more screening? Like,
Should there be 10 feet of screening between the property line and the edge of the terrace or something like that?
That's never been required before for these, and it's not.
Okay, I'm asking.
I don't know that you know that, Linda, that it's never been
Yeah.
required. I think
I'm
we have to
asking
look at our
Leslie.
previous decisions.
So there's
Leslie-
not anything specific in the bylaw about the
Okay.
level of screening. I mean, that's, up to your discretion when you're issuing the special permit.
Great.
And I think that's a case by case basis, depending on, where the pool is and the proximity to other houses and that sort of thing.
Well,
I
so
see.
I think it is less than 100 feet. It's I think Elise is right. It's gonna be more like 70 feet to the neighbor, to the pool edge. No, not the pool edge, probably the terrace edge.
Mhm.
But clearly that one corner where they're showing the vegetation cut away or where the vegetation is cut away is pretty close. So I don't know. I'm less worried about maybe hold on, I gotta go to my locus map, the other side, because that's going towards the house that's 300 and something feet away.
The house on the right is about 200 and the one behind is 385.
Yeah, so the corner that I'm referring to is, I think, going towards
West.
the house that is 385. So that one's less of a concern, but probably the bottom left corner of the pool area seems like getting some screening from there, I think would be.
Isn't the surround of the pool being retained by this stone? It's a big drop off, right?
Yeah, it's about 12 feet from the road, and then it just keeps going over the edge down into the valley behind it.
So are we asking that down below this tall retaining wall gets vegetated, and are we saying we want it taller than that? Or I just want to make sure everybody realizes there's a really tall retaining wall around this
What
entire.
page are you on, Elisa?
This
Oh, I
is
see it now.
190.
And how tall is that retaining wall going to be?
I didn't
Linda?
handle that. I just know that it drops again, so it's got to be at least 3 or 4 feet.
Okay,
Pardon me.
It's retaining
Yeah,
wall. is taller than 4
Mr.
feet.
Is that Mr. Green? I was gonna get to you.
Yeah, hey, sorry, I just wanted to jump in. I think that I can kind of provide some clarification on some of the questions.
Perfect.
So the retaining wall, it's either 12 or 16 inches. The rocks or the stones on that were just shown as an example of what it was going to be.
Okay.
But it is not, it's not 3 to 4 feet. It's 12 to
Okay.
16, 12 to 18 inches. It's
Is there a
very
topo-
small.
Is there a topo plan that kind of that you can just or put that information on the site plan? Because there's no information on the site plan that
Yeah,
alludes
it's out
to
there.
that
That was
fact.
part of the HDC.
Not on the
approval,
HDC
but
plan, no.
I can kind of go through some of the other concerns that y'all raised too. So one of them is the landscaping plan. All of the things here are existing landscaping. The lot is heavily landscaped. Everything that's going in is on grass. We're not cutting away any landscaping. In that lower left-hand corner where it shows, you know, it going into not our property, that's all existing. We're not cutting any of that away. And that's also why there's not a landscaping plan with what we're putting in. It's already heavily landscaped, and literally all we're doing is putting the pool and the pool deck where there's currently grass. In regards to the lighting plan, we're not going to do additional lighting. So that's why there's not a lighting plan. We're just going to use, you know, obviously there's going to be the required lights in the pool, but we're not going to do landscape lighting or anything like that. The decks, somebody brought up the decks. Those decks are existing, and we're actually going to be cutting away the existing deck. So when you look at the picture of the site, we're going to go in about 2 to 3 feet where the existing deck is, and the pool is going to be tucked in close to the house to try to make it as, you know, seamless as possible on that. But I guess kind of the 3 things: the landscaping, we're not cutting it away. It's going where there's grass. It's already, you know, heavily landscaped, you know, professionally landscaped with a huge, you know, it looks like they spent a lot of money doing it. We bought the house a year ago. And the lighting, there is no lighting plan because we don't want one. We want it to kind of stay natural. And then, yeah, the decks, we're not building the decks, and we're actually getting rid of some of the decking. And the pool's 12 by 28 with an auto cover. So it's not like the pool is overly large.
Thank you. I'd still like that corner, whether or not it exists now. I think it should be filled in.
I agree. I don't think it
Not
matters.
your property. It should not be being utilized by you guys. And in terms of the vegetation, that's totally fine. I just was asked to have it marked on a plan so that it is part of our decision.
Well, I think the other
It is
issue,
marked on the
Lisa,
plan.
is that we should be consistent with
Mhm.
these. And
About what
just
we
because
require.
somebody says the other house is 100 feet away, turns out to be 75. I don't think we should say, oh, well, it's okay. We
No.
don't have to do it.
I agree. I think that we need, when we started doing these special permits for pools in Nantucket, we had a lot of conversation about being consistent and requiring these because Nantucket is such a sensitive area to having pools. So when you're saying, no additional lighting, well, you have to have lighting for the pool. We already talked about that. It has to be on for safety. Linda, you just said it about if somebody falls in the pool, right? Or something.
Right, but there are no additional lighting plan. That's what he was saying. He said, we're not.
Yeah,
adding
there's
any
existing
landscape
lighting. There's existing lighting on the house. So we're not going to do
but
landscape lighting.
so the lighting plan, if there's existing lighting, the lighting plan for the pool and should be low wattage lights, lights limited to, I think, till 10 o'clock at night. So it's not just, I want to see where the lighting is. I want in 5 years, if this house sells and someone else moves in and they've got wicked bright lights and they've got them on all night, we can look back and say, look, this is the decision, this is the plan, and this is what you're required to do. So I don't think we're asking if it's existing and you've already got it there, then just show us what's there, that you're going to have the low wattage lights on on, and it's just part of the application for this special permit in
Do
Nantucket.
you want to know what lights are on the house, existing on the house?
I
'Cause
want
that's
to
all there
see,
is.
I want to see a lighting plan of what is going to illuminate this area.
Okay, because you illuminate, I'm just trying to get it clear so I can tell the guys what to put on here because they don't deal with the structure. The structure has outdoor lighting for the kids to run around the backyard. We're not adding any more lighting than what's already on the house.
Right, and
except for the light-
I'm saying we might limit the lighting on the outside of the house that illuminates the area that is grass now, but is going to have a pool, because that is within our purview. The same way that Lisa's saying, I get that the existing vegetation is what's there, but we're saying you've got cleared parts that aren't on your property and you need to fill that back in. So getting a special permit for the pool triggers some requirements, and we want to mitigate the lighting. So if you're telling me there's lights that shine into the yard so the kids can run around at night, now that there's a pool going in, we want to mitigate that.
All right, I just want to be clear because I'm not familiar with you dealing with the house lights versus the foo-foo stuff that people put in their yards for pool lighting and patio lighting and all that.
Okay, so maybe I would suggest then that you go back, you could ask Leslie or someone at staff, or you can look back and pull some of the decisions and some of the things that we've put as exhibits to those decisions, and maybe that'll give you some guidance. Or there's like a whole Nantucket Village plan that deals with the pools.
I was involved with that.
One other concern, I don't know if I'm the only person having the concern, is just that there's going to be very little vegetation, well, on this property between this pool and the 16-inch retaining wall and the neighbor.
Right.
Very little vegetation that this lot controls.
Yeah, we'll fill that piece right in.
I'm not asking you, Linda, I'm asking if the board has concerns. Obviously, you're going to fill it into the property line.
Are you talking about right here?
No, where the circle is.
Yeah.
So when you fill it into the property line, you're like touching the retaining wall.
Yeah, that's.
Is that enough of a buffer? Should that
No.
retaining wall be shifted in?
I would rather see some more screening that is, I get that there's the whole vegetation around. I would like to see some screening that's like pool specific, besides just filling in that corner, some like pool specific screening.
From what?
That's why I asked about the topography here, because I really want to know how tall this retaining wall is.
Right.
And therefore, are they required to plant on the grass against the retaining wall, or do they have to do a planting bed on top of this retaining wall? What's the point of the vegetation? Is it to block anybody from seeing the pool? Because if it's planted down low and the retaining wall is higher, it does nothing. So
Well, and in
I
that
guess-
corner, yeah, I think that's a good question. And in that corner, they could even plant below the retaining wall.
They could pull that whole corner back towards
Well,
the
that's
pool.
what I'm suggesting, to pull the corner
That's
in.
big. I'd like to know a scale. What is the distance between the coping of the pool and the edge of the retaining wall on the just two of the sides, not the side of the house, but against the green space and to the left?
It's probably 20 feet, right? Because of the pool is 16.
Yep.
That's probably
Roughly.
20 feet. Oh, well, maybe from the coping it's 16.
Yeah, these are questions we didn't expect because of the fact that
Maybe
the
they
HCC
pull
couldn't
that
see it.
area back in towards the pool and keep it off
Yeah.
of the property line, because when you build a retaining wall, there is space that happens around the retaining wall where they're going to have to dig to put in footings, where they're going to have to, do work around it, and that would put them on somebody else's property if that corner fell right on that property line.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could simply just cut away that corner just a little bit, and just get some
They could
vegetation
just pull
there.
it in 4 feet on either side. You'll still have 12 feet and whatever. I mean, that's a big area around the pool.
It's
All
not,
right, what is the goal? So I know what to tell these guys. Is it to block it completely from the view of a neighbor, or the HDC is fine with it, or from, what are we trying?
Well, the
what's
HGC doesn't have jurisdiction over neighbors' view.
Right.
The ZBA does. So I would say it is
Right.
protecting the
Oh.
neighbors.
That was news to me. Okay, I'll tell him
What's news to you?
that you have view rights from the neighbor, which is not something in 25 years at the ZBA I ever dealt with. So I'll
No,
just.
but
have
it's a special permit and the question is to not make it more detrimental to the neighborhood. And if
Neighborhood, that's where I'm having the problem. And I'm sorry if I'm arguing about it. But I spent 25 years in the last 15 years with the ZBA since 1983. And we listen to the neighbors, that's great. But we have no jurisdiction over what they see. That is a neighbor. The neighborhood in court has been neighborhood, not neighbor. So that's why I'm having an issue with that corner, but we'll do whatever you want us to do.
Good, let's move on then.
Yeah, agreed. So
Just,
Linda, it looks like.
One question.
Sure,
Is
Michael.
are any board members interested in doing a site visit?
Sure, if you come
Sure.
again.
Sure.
Yeah, 'cause we can get Linda to set up the permission and we can go out in groups of 2.
Yeah, and I can go out with you because every one of you has my cell phone number except maybe one.
Okay, that
In
would
all
be good.
fairness, yeah, in all fairness, we didn't answer Linda's question though about what we're trying to achieve with the vegetation. Are we trying to get the vegetation up on top of the retaining wall or down below the retaining wall and block the retaining wall? That's what.
I guess the idea of the vegetation to me is to screen the pool's appearance from the other side. So I'm not looking for a 16-inch high lavender bush. I'm looking for, vegetation that's going to help mitigate sound, a little bit of sound and visual. For me, I don't know what everybody else is looking for.
Maybe you
but-
put a planting bed on top of the retaining wall along that whole side. I don't know. I mean,
Die to die. We'll figure it out.
all right.
All right, so that can all be on the landscape plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got
And
it.
I'm not joking, Linda. I think it would be helpful for you to look at some of these other applications, look at how the one that Leslie put up that shows the different types of trees and where they're gonna go and how it's gonna look. So, and I would like to see something bigger than this so I can actually see what the detail is that I'm trying to figure out. This is just too small.
This is what I was given, so I'll fix them.
Okay. All right, so I just want to go over what the notes that I have here. I have that the board is looking for some kind of topo plan.
Yep.
A lighting plan.
Yep.
The landscape plan with details of what's going to be planted where.
If anything, so we'll deal with it.
And what?
If anything other than that corner. Yeah.
I think that's what we're asking for. We're looking, anyway. And so, to go along with those conditions that we have for all of the other decisions.
Yeah, I don't see any in the condition list that would be a problem.
Great.
Good, then just submit it. and
Awesome.
We can
All right,
move
so
on.
you will coordinate with Leslie, I guess, for what times are good for a site visit, and then we can sign up and.
Well,
Is it possible to get some stakes,
email
just very simple stakes, put it in the corner of the retaining walls?
That would be good. That would be very helpful.
Okay.
Where it goes into the point there, that's
corner.
direction that is.
Southwest.
Okay, that would be perfect.
Okay, so it looks like, Linda, do you have, or Mr. Green, do you have anything else to add before it looks like we're gonna move forward to continue this to the next meeting?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Thank you for your time.
Okay, great. Anyone on the board have anything else to add before I ask someone to make a motion? No, okay. Would someone care to make a motion to continue?
I'll make a
I'll make
motion to continue the November 18th meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, so let's see, Ed,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
myself, I, Lisa,
Aye.
and Elisa.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion passes. We'll revisit this at the November 18th meeting.
That's later than usual, correct?
It is, it's a week later than usual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will that meeting start at 12, do you think? Again?
It
Because so much?
maybe. Leslie?
I think you should start it at 12 because you continued quite a few
lot.
applications today. You had, well, all 4 of your old business applications were continued. And we have at least 2 new applications already, and it's not even the deadline yet. So I think you'll have a heavy docket on the 18th.
Madam Chair, could I make
Yes.
a request? I've missed 2 of my clients at HDC because they're at 1 o'clock at the same time you're going. And I'll have at least 5 or 6 on, probably continue to that day. Can we take this pool up first so I can get to the HDC meeting at 1 o'clock? Because I can't keep doing this to them.
You mean, well, this will be old business, so I guess it depends on, I don't know how the applications get put on the agenda, whether it's submission time or.
Leslie does it.
No, I know, but I'm like, I don't know if she does it like first come, first serve, or I don't know. So Leslie, what do you think about that?
For old business, I put them in the order in which they were received, so by file number. But you can always entertain a special request. So if you want to entertain that and have her first on the agenda, we can do that.
I would appreciate it.
I don't have a problem with it. Does anyone have an issue with that?
Madam Chair,
Mm-hmm.
the Thursday meetings only last for a couple of hours on a regular basis, so that depending upon the hierarchy of the projects that are before us, it may be that Linda can be heard after the HDC meeting is over.
Well, she'd be under old business anyway, so she'd be heard at the beginning. So assuming we don't take more than an hour to get through the stuff that has been continued, the HCC meeting starts at 1.
Yeah, and I'm good.
It goes to 2:30. Yeah, I didn't go either. I had to put my stuff off. And I apparently will, I'll do it on the 18th too, so. I'm fine. I don't have a big issue with it. But, what's in front of us? Another pool, right? And then, was there something else that was continued?
Yeah, you have John Brescher's pool.
So for the 18th, you have the DeBazio application from before on Metaview. The 2 AxSmart applications for the solar.
Right.
You have the Jemison application at 195 Hummock Pond Road. 40 Warren's Landing Road, which was not heard today, that was continued. You have 1 Goose Cove, that was John Brescher's application, that's continued. This application, 6 Macy Lane, continued. The 37 Pocomo was continued. And I think that's it. So the only 2 from today that did not get continued were 33 Goldfinch and 86 Quidnet.
It's up to everybody else.
I don't care. It's going to be a long meeting, so if Linda
Have
has.
a one person office.
Let's just make sure that whoever's going to be on first shows up at noon and we're not sitting around.
Well,
Yeah.
it would be Linda according to her
Yeah.
request.
Oh, I will be here at noon sharp.
Okay.
Maybe
Looking
maybe a
forward to
couple
it.
minutes early.
Yep. Ready to roll.
Okay. Well, I guess Leslie, when do we think we can go back in person?
Oh.
Well, first of all, I think the mask order needs to be lifted. And
Well, we can be inside and wear masks.
They don't care. We tried that.
Who doesn't care?
Linda, can you not interrupt?
Linda, I think you can sign
You're
off.
finished.
All right, we'll see you later.
Sorry.
Yep.
so, I think having a meeting in person with the mask and trying to talk into the microphone and in a way that the people who are watching can understand you and hear you might be problematic. I don't think any in-person meetings are being scheduled right now at all. And once we do go back to that, it might take a month just to reshuffle everyone back to where they need to go. I'm not really sure. I don't have a schedule yet for that, but I have told the person who schedules the meetings that you all are anxious to get back to in-person and to put you on the agenda as soon as possible.
Because I just, that the script that I read at the beginning, like, isn't even really true, right? I mean, there is no executive order that's expired. The state isn't requiring that. I don't know what authority, like, I go to church and I'm in church with a bunch of people wearing masks. It's fine.
The in-person, or excuse me, the open meeting law modification, I guess, that was put in place as part of that emergency order was extended. And I think it was extended until April of next year. So it's still in place.
It's still in place with the outdoor dining, right? Isn't that still April as well?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay. Okay, well, I hope that we're in person before April. But whatever.
Certainly makes it easier.
Yeah, especially with plans and stuff like these teeny tiny plans. I think it's
Yeah, those are really hard to look at.
really hard.
I know you guys are
alright.
trying to conserve paper, but maybe just putting one on one sheet, you know what I mean? It looks like there's 2 large scale drawings per sheet.
Yeah, it's just hard.
It's hard, makes it hard.
Okay. So does anyone else have anything else to talk about?
Page numbering is super helpful, by the way.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think we can make a motion to adjourn until November. And Leslie, you'll let us know about that site visit.
Site visits,
Site visits. Where else do
because we can only go two people at a
Right,
time.
right. Yes, exactly. Okay.
Is there gonna be, it'll probably be like a window, right? That you can go from, or do we have to schedule it?
We'll let the counties
That's the
figure that
emergency.
out.
Fight that out.
I'll email you, but you definitely need to go in pairs of 1 or 2, so we don't have to post a meeting.
Okay. So who would like to make the motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Did someone second? Did I hear?
I did.
Okay, so Ed made the motion, Michael seconded. I'm not going to do roll call. We'll just say all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Aye.
Bye. Bye-bye.